Remember when every airport, bookstore, grocery store checkout line, and your mom's coffee table had a John Grisham novel sitting on it? The 90s weren't just a decade for him. They were basically a cinematic hostile takeover. One minute it's The Firm, then The Pelican Brief, then suddenly Hollywood's throwing every attractive actor with a Southern accent into a courtroom and just printing money. And in 1996, we get two of them. And this one we're talking about is A Time to Kill.
And now, our feature presentation.
Fussy, who hired this crew?
What's your favorite scary movie?
I'm smart, you're dumb. I'm big, you're little. I'm right, you're wrong.
Show me the money!
Are you too good for your home? Answer me!
Baby, you are so money and you don't even know it.
Yeah, I thought this was good.
Hello, boys! I'm back!
Welcome in, everyone, to 52/1996, the live movie conversation podcast where we rewind the clock and dig into the films of 1996, one movie at a time. I'm your host, Cody, and this week I'm joined by Ryan as we break down A Time to Kill. Welcome in, Ryan.
Hello.
Hello. The idea is pretty simple. If this is your first time hanging out with us, I'll give you the rundown here. Every week for 52 weeks, we revisit a different movie released in the year 1996 because it's been 30 years. Why not? We dig into the vibe, standout performances, fun trivia, sometimes it's not. And if it survives, maybe a modern watch. We've been celebrating films with our theme, I'll See You in Court, spotlighting courtroom movies from the year 1996. So before we get into our categories and start talking a little bit more about the movie, let's talk to Ryan and see what his first impression or if this is something that he was familiar with. So Ryan, big Grisham head over there.
I've only read one Grisham novel and it wasn't very good.
Which one did you read?
My mom has read all of them. And I think I asked my mom, like, hey, I want to connect with you. Give me a good John Grisham novel. And she just gave me like the last one she read. So it was called The Last Juror, and I don't remember anything about it.
Well, but you've definitely seen some of the movies, right?
Yes. And I've seen, and they make good movies. I think they make better movies than books probably. But this one I know very well. I think sometime late high school, early college, when I was just collecting bargain bin DVDs, I probably picked this one up, which means that I saw it a lot. Like I would throw it in, every few months for a few years, and just and check it out. So I knew this movie very well.
Yeah, I feel like Grisham is like the Dan Brown of his time. I feel like Dan Brown is very airport book, although Dan Brown is more like an Indiana Jones Christian.
Yeah, I don't know that I'm sure there are other legal ones, but I don't know their name. David Balducci, does he write legal dramas?
Oh yeah, James Patterson, David Balducci, because Patterson kind of takes over a little bit at the end of the 90s with because I think James Patterson did all the Alex Cross novels.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's like Along Came a Spider with Morgan Freeman, and there was Kiss the Girls, I think, is another one. So I think he kind of takes over there. David Balducci sounds right though for like legal.
I don't know if he wrote legal things or he just has a lawyer's name. Like I can see that name on
Balducci Grisham and
on a billboard. Call Balducci
444.
Yeah, and then of course we already talked in this podcast a good bit about like Tom Clancy, right? So this was, I mean, there were mass market paperback stuff in the 80s for sure, but it was huge in the 90s. And just like you said in your intro, yeah, there was always these books cost to this day, it's crazy as book prices go up that I was just reading some of the Silence of the Lambs like books, Hannibal, Red Dragon, and those, and I can still get those on the internet for $5.99, like a brand new mass market paperback book. So you could just grab one, you could beat it up, you could throw it back in a bargain bin for pretty cheap. And people who were traveling a lot or just liked genre fiction found an author, and that author would churn them out.
Yeah, with the movies of this era and everything, with the John Grisham, we've already done two I think John Grisham's in our time here. We did The Firm in 93 and we did The Client in 94. I don't think there was one in 95. I might be missing one.
Well, Pelican Brief was in there. But
Pelican Brief. Yes. So we have done, this is our fourth Grisham movie.
That's crazy. And this, I think most people think would call the best made Grisham movie. Maybe it's not my favorite. My favorite is far away Runaway Jury that comes like 10 years later. I love that movie.
I have no, okay. So this is the first time that I have seen A Time to Kill ever. My Grisham experience was The Client and The Firm. And The Firm was much later in my life, but The Client, I remember even talking about this. I remember like the kid finding the dead body and there was maggots and all this stuff. And like, as a kid, I was like, maggots are cool, I guess. I don't know. My dad's telling me stop swatting he's swatting me away from like dead animals that have maggots on it, which is such a weird thing. But I was a kid. So just obsessed with maggots, just like any normal human being.
Like, just before we get into the movie, did you like any of the other Grisham movies more than this? Has this become your favorite, or is it in the middle, or you don't like it because it's been too long?
I liked this movie, and kind of like with all Grisham movies, one, they're too long, and two, they're extremely watchable though.
Yes.
Like I think this is something you throw on a weekend. Like you could be cleaning your house and this is on, and maybe as you're like vacuuming the floor, you sit down on the watch like 45.
I mean, yeah, spoilers for like my ratings. Like this might be the widest gap between my rating of quality and my watchability rating.
I think the same happened for me last week with Primal Fear, and I like Primal Fear. I loved Primal Fear growing up, but like I think that movie's super rewatchable, but I don't think it's as good as I used to think it is.
I watched Primal Fear for the first time. I didn't make the podcast chat, but so watching it for the first time was kind of crazy. But good. And at the end of that movie, I said, not a great movie, really fun to watch. That's the first thing I said about it. Yeah.
And kind of like mind blowing in the 90s too. Like it's just a twist that you're not ready, or that you're just like, well, okay, that was a thing that we just decided
96
to do.
That twist had to go hard, where it'd be pretty lame today.
Yeah, so I'm trying to think. I haven't seen Runaway Jury, I haven't seen The Rainmaker, I haven't seen
Rainmaker either.
The Chamber, which is the other one I believe that came out this year with Matt Damon and Gene Hackman, best thing about The Firm, Gene Hackman's amazing in The Firm. Gene
Hackman comes back with in Runaway Jury with
Kevin Spacey.
At least one really great scene with Dustin Hoffman.
Not Kevin Spacey, it was Dustin Hoffman. Kevin Spacey's in The Life of David Gale, which I always think is a Grisham movie, and it's not. So I don't know where this one sits for me. I think I like it. I don't know. The Firm is a lot of fun, but it is so long. It is 2.5 hours and doesn't need to be.
Yeah, this one doesn't need to be.
Yeah, none of them. Christmas with the Cranks
is pretty hard. Yeah,
that's true. I think that's my favorite one. It's Christmas.
That's a good movie.
Yeah, I think that's a good one. I don't know. I think this is kind of in the middle, and maybe you after we talk about it a little bit.
I think I have nostalgia for this and no other 90s Grisham movie. So in my mind, it loomed pretty large as the John Grisham movie. And I think some people felt that way at the time, that it was just a little notch higher in quality, or probably in heart and emotion, because they brought the whole Oscar baity kind of like, let's talk about race to it all.
Yeah. From the wrong perspective.
Yeah, we'll get into it.
That's typically how it goes. So let's talk about it a little bit more, get into our discussion with our categories. Let me break down a few of the basics for you. The title is A Time to Kill, came out July 24th, 1996. This is, along with being our fourth Grisham movie on the pod, this is our fourth Joel Schumacher film. He has made every single year. So we watched Falling Down in 1993, The Client in 1994, Batman Forever in 1995, and then we get A Time to Kill here. He's our I'm pretty sure he's our number one director.
Okay, so how does A Time to Kill rank among those four Schumacher films?
I liked Falling Down.
I've never seen Falling Down.
Falling Down's kind of a fun little thriller. So Yeah, I think I'm gonna go Falling Down. I think A Time to Kill,
Yeah.
The Client, and then Batman Forever. I think that's my order.
Yeah, not to get too off the track, but Joel Schumacher, I was looking over his filmography, and he started off strong with like St. Elmo's Fire, and something else. But he's kind of a workhorse. He does every genre, and everybody seems to be okay with all of his movies. But he doesn't have like a seminal work, really.
No, actually, my favorite Joel Schumacher film is a little scene, I think Vietnam era movie called Tigerland with Colin Farrell in it. And it's really about Colin Farrell, who's like, it's in boot camp the whole time. And Colin Farrell's kind of like not a rule follower. And the whole movie is told through the eyes of this other guy who is like, just kind of admiring Colin Farrell and his him breaking rules. It's actually, I think it's really good.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I've never heard of that one. That sounds interesting. Looking over his films. Also, everybody should go to his Wikipedia page to look at that picture because it's a good one of Mr. Schumacher. Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff I've always heard of and never got around to seeing. But other than like St. Elmo's Fire, I don't see one. Like the movie I love the most is Phone Booth.
Booth. That one's a good
one.
Yeah. He makes a trash movie in the number 23. He did the Phantom of the Opera, which I think a lot of people love.
But I don't think people love it deeply,
No. What is Bad Company? 8mm on here? That's interesting. Bad Company. Yeah. I feel like he's very much a studio filmmaker at this point. Yeah.
Which is okay. I mean, he's had a great career.
And rest in peace.
People love The Lost Boys, but it doesn't really mean a lot to me. But that was that's like
he wrote The Wiz.
Yeah, I saw that he wrote The Wiz. Is crazy.
Good for Joel Schumacher.
Let me rip off The Wizard of Oz, which has already been written twice, and then also talk about The Black Experience. I got this.
Good for him. He's awesome. But he's our most popular director so far. I've been thinking all day. Like who have we covered more than I was like, did we cover Spielberg more than anybody? Scorsese? No, none of them have come close to Joel. He's just amazing. And maybe now I'm thinking Spike Lee was in there somewhere because I like to include Spike, but he's got to be like 2 or 3 that we've covered. But this movie was written by Akiva Goldsman, based on the 1989 novel by John Grisham. I believe he wrote he wrote the screenplay for The Client as well. So he works a lot with Joel Schumacher. So it's kind of match made in heaven there. Now, this cast, I will say, is robust. And I'm going to go through a lot of them. So because I feel like they're super important. This movie not only has, big stars in it, like we've got Matthew McConaughey and Samuel Jackson, but like the character actors that you've seen time and time and time again. And I'll go ahead and list those off. So we've got Samuel L. Jackson as Carl Lee Haley, Sandra Bullock as Ellen Rourke, Matthew McConaughey as Jake Brigance. Kevin Spacey in here. Didn't expect to see his name pop up whenever I popped this in, as Rufus Buckley. Oliver Platt as Harry Rex Vonner. Charles S. Dutton as Sheriff Ozzie Walls. Brenda Fricker as Ethel Twitty. Donald Sutherland as Lucian Wilbanks. Beth Grant as Cora May Cobb. Kiefer Sutherland as Freddie Lee Cobb. Patrick McGowan as Judge Noose. What a name. Ashley Judd is in here as Carla Brigance. Chris Cooper's in here as Deputy Sheriff Dwayne Looney. Nikki Catt as Billy Ray Cobb. Doug Hutchison as James or Pete Willard. Kurtwood Smith as Stump Sisson. Another great name. Anthony Held, you were just talking about the Silence of the Lambs and stuff like that. Anthony Held here as Dr. Wilbert Rodeheaver. M. Emmett Walsh, uncredited in this movie, but he's the other psychologist in here, is Dr. Willard Tyrell Bass. That becomes a plot point at some point. And then barely in this movie, Oscar Award winner Octavia Spencer is in here.
Yeah.
Just, I saw her and she didn't say a line. I was like, I think that was Octavia Spencer.
I thought so too. I had to go back and look.
But if you didn't get a chance to watch this movie, or if you just don't know anything about it, I'll give you the synopsis that I pulled from Google here. Trigger warning, there is essay in this discussion that we'll probably get into, so feel free to drop out now if you're triggered by that. So I will go ahead and go through the synopsis here. It says Carl Lee Haley is a heartbroken Black father who avenges his daughter's brutal rape by shooting the bigoted men responsible for the crime as they are on their way to trial. He turns to Jake Brigance, an untested lawyer, to defend him. Brigance struggles to believe that he can get Haley acquitted in this small, segregated southern town, given Haley's race and the deliberate nature of his crimes. But Carl has unshakable faith in him. About unshakable faith. The budget for this movie is $40 million, and probably because of that cast. I mean, I know not everybody here. Matthew McConaughey is not Matthew McConaughey yet.
Well,
but
yeah, I'll say that really quick. It's kind of fascinating that in 1996, especially having watched the movie and like the different roles they play in it, that the order of casting goes Samuel L. Jackson, Sandra Bullock, and then Matthew McConaughey is crazy.
And like Kevin Spacey's not even mentioned, and he just won an Oscar.
Oh yeah, probably not when they're putting the credits together yet, though. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe not. But still, yeah. I mean,
or I guess maybe a lot of at that point, maybe a lot of that was also negotiated with agents about crediting. So you can't always go back and change them. Sometimes you can.
I did read that Sandra Bullock was paid $6 million for this movie, which feels high. Not, I mean, rightfully so, but like feels high for that time. Like I don't know what Julia Roberts was pulling in at that time, but
yeah, it's huge.
She was like the number one actress.
She's essentially a side character in this movie, and she's second filled. Yeah,
barely in it. Not barely in it, but secondary character. So $40 million budget. This movie made $152.3 million. This was actually the number 10 movie of the year for all movies released in 96. Crazy. It got decent reviews. Rotten Tomatoes has this at a 66%. IMDb is 7.5 out of 10, and Letterboxd a 3.8 out of 5. Roger Ebert liked this movie. Did you read his review of it?
A little bit.
Yeah. He said, I was absorbed by A Time to Kill and found the performances strong and convincing, especially the work by Samuel L. Jackson as Carl Lee Haley, the avenging father, and Matthew McConaughey as Jake Brigance, the lawyer. This is the best of the film versions of Grisham novels, I think, and it has been directed with skill by Joel Schumacher. But he does, this is such a weird review because he just, picks it apart for all the bad things about it. And then by the end of it, he's like, hey, I know I just shat on this movie for my entire thing. I liked it a lot.
Oh, I'm familiar with that method. That's how, when I want to tell somebody I love something, I name the 5 things wrong with it first. That's how I go about saying like a movie or a book is good.
This is bad. This is bad. This is bad, but it's awesome.
It's
he does at one point in his review say, my advice to the filmmakers about the Black people in town, try imagining they're white.
Oh, damn.
And I love that line specifically for this movie. It's
wow, well, that was savage. Way to go!
Yeah. 3 out of 4 stars.
I do have to say that not to make fun of the subject matter of the movie. I don't know if I knew you at this time, but for a while, me and my friends in college, we like watched this movie together, and then for like a few weeks afterwards, I just remember people would be like, "Oh, I turned in this paper late, and this professor said this, and it's not unfair, blah blah blah." And we'd let somebody talk, and then we'd pause and go, "Now imagine she's white." No matter what anybody was talking about, we would hit that line like it was very important.
Ooh, it hits. Now, not everybody loved this movie. Anthony Puccinelli of one of the Chicago papers said that Grisham and Schumacher use Carl Lee because of the color of his skin. They exploit him just because he's black, and in doing so, they embrace what they started out condemning. Not bad. Not much of a legacy. Nobody got nominated. There were a couple Golden Globe nominations for this movie. I think Samuel L. might have gotten nominated for Golden Globe here, and I think there was a couple MTV Movie Awards for this for Sandra and Matthew.
I was a little surprised it didn't get nominations.
Yeah, it does seem very Oscar baity.
Yeah, not that I don't know. Just looking at what the movie is and how it looks and what it's about and the best parts of the movie, I'm like, yeah, this is at least getting these actors are getting nominated. The screenplay is getting nominated. Yeah,
something like that. Yeah, I don't remember going over, or we went over who was like best actor and best supporting actor, but there's probably room in there for somebody in here.
Yeah.
So there, I did read that in France, the film was a big subject of controversy when it came out because critics accused the movie of making an apology for the death penalty and the right of self-defense. And so what they did was they added a question mark to the end of the title.
Mm-hmm.
The right to kill?
Yeah.
So it's not the
smart and interesting. They were pissed. And some people, I didn't realize this a lot. I mean, I think I just wasn't nuanced enough when I was younger. And my politics weren't as left as they are now. Like, I'm happy to like take the movie on face value. I didn't need to be political about it. But then once I started reading about it and thinking about it, I was like, yeah, this movie's really fucked up. Like,
yeah, this movie's crazy. I have more I have more WTF ridiculous moments than I have scenes in this movie.
Yeah, nice.
It's pretty good. Yeah, I don't the right to kill. The right to kill. Yeah, there's some good stuff in this movie. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about some of the scenes that really pop or define this movie.
Well, first of all, this movie's full of scenes. Like, they're just like, I mean, because I try to write on my second viewing, try to write every scene or pretty much every scene down, and then kind of try to asterisk the important ones as I go. And it took me twice as much paper because like so many cuts to things that are happening. And we've already said this movie is too long. And yet there are a lot of unimportant scenes that add to the charm and give you those supporting actor moments that make you kind of like make this movie very watchable and very cozy in a way, in a weird way. So it's hard to pick out what few scenes are the most important, but it's easy to start because the start of this movie is, well, first of all, you got some whistling and flutes to show you that you're in the mystical South.
There's a great fun fact about this that John Grisham was like, does Joel Schumacher know that they have air conditioning in the South?
Yes. Like your name says, this is the sweatiest movie. Ashley Judd had incredible pneumonia with how much sweat they piled onto her.
She looked incredible though. Like, she
did look great. She's very tan. And I mean, that's how she got the part, because it wasn't her acting. She's a very bad actor.
Was not her acting. She's so good at, like, in the brief part that she's in Heat, and then you see this movie and she's like not good. Like, that's definitely one of my WTF scenes, is a full-on just Ashley Judd scene. Right. I was like, what the heck is happening?
And a lot of the parts to do with her, some of the first things on the editing room floor, I think that belong there. Especially at the end of the movie, we'll get around to it, where she comes back and goes, "Oh, I know why you did all this. The thing you said at the beginning of the movie." And he's like, "Yeah, that's what I said at the beginning of the movie."
That's one of my biggest WTFs of this whole thing, is that entire scene. I was like, what was this for? Yeah. Did we need her coming back? And I thought it was going to turn out to be a dream sequence.
Oh, that would have been worse even.
Like, he's like drunk and he's like imagining things. I don't know. Yeah. I was like, what is going on
But here? I guess they spent another thing you'd cut out of this movie is there's a big will they won't they between him and Sandra Bullock that again provides some like cute, charming moments, but also goes nowhere. The answer is they won't. And that's not the point of this movie. So we don't need it at all. And so because they did that and then said, well, he's not going to get with Sandra Bullock, they have to show a reconciliation with his wife.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me of The Firm a little bit, where it makes sense in The Firm that, you know, Tom Cruise's character cheats on his wife because that's what the firm holds over him. Like, that's their blackmail. We'll tell your wife if you don't, you know, do this thing. In this movie, it doesn't make any sense. So this being John Grisham's first novel, maybe he was like, oh, that doesn't work for this movie. Let me fix that in The Firm.
Well, I have a theory about this problem specifically. We'll get to it in the trivia section. It'll explain why I think that's all included. But the first scene of the movie is we're in the South, baby. The roads are dirt. The sleeves are gone. The sweat is flowing. And the New Yorker cartoon versions of racist are everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And this is it's confusing when it is. It's in the 1980s. You said the book is 1989. Online, they keep saying it's 1984 when this takes place, but that can't be true because they say 1985 multiple times in the movie. So
I didn't even think about the time.
Late 80s, which is kind of confusing for how they, again, don't have air conditioning and the levels of racism and segregation that are in the background. and the way people live, it's kind of hard to place time wise.
Yeah. But I mean, Mississippi is one of those places where things remain segregated. I mean, I think they still remain segregated to this day in schools and stuff, even though on paper they're not segregated.
Well, yeah, no, totally. I agree with that. I've been to some of the places in this movie, Jackson specifically, not to Canton. My partner grew up there. Also, I'm coming live from Memphis, so I'm very John Grisham coded right now.
Yeah, you are the most John Grisham you could possibly be.
Yeah, he wrote this book, a county south of me,
and he was born and lived in Jonesboro, which is like an hour northwest of you. So yeah, just a little fun fact.
Well, and then Memphis doesn't get a lot of love in the movies, but a lot of his movies take place there.
Mm-hmm. The Firm is all in Memphis. I don't remember where The Client takes place.
Or the Pelican Brief is in New Orleans because there's a pelican.
Yes, that's exactly where it takes place, is New Orleans. So he loves his South.
Okay, the first scene of the movie is the long, extended, brutal rape and attempted murder of a child. By
5 minutes in, guys.
Yes, it starts with the crime, and it is hard to watch. It is directed with care for mainstream audiences. Basically, when the lead up to it is frightening and tough and difficult, and when the actual acts take place, there's like little brief shots of scary things, but not they don't linger on it too long or anything. And that is what sets the action into place. So that has to be like the first scene.
Yeah, and then they end up, the little girl survives, and that just kind of takes everything. So the two men that did this end up getting arrested during this time.
This movie is not about whether or not these guys will be found guilty, or are they guilty, or how do we prove that they're guilty. They're pretty much found guilty pretty easily with evidence and then confessed really fast.
Yes. But the one thing that I did think that was weird was that they did portray one of them as more scared than the other. There's Nicky Katt and Doug Hutchison in these roles, and Nicky Katt is Kiefer Sutherland's brother in this movie, and he is the one that's very like cocky and confident and just more like
he initiates the violence. He has every idea, and the other guy follows along.
Yes, but he participates. There's no question about it. There's no sympathy, but I thought that was...
He thinks it's fun. He thinks it doesn't matter that they did this to this girl because she's a young black girl. So he's equally guilty, but it's the scared one that gives the confession, which could be a plot point, but it's not. It doesn't become one.
No, not at all. And so that we see them getting arrested. We see them, finding out that I even during this whole section here, basically 10, 15 minutes in, we get introduced to all our characters. We get introduced to Jake, who is our lead character in this, Carly Haley, who should be the lead character in this movie. Mm-hmm. Kind of reacting to what just happened to his daughter and seeing him deal with this and go to his to Jake, I won't say his friend, but Jake, who defended his brother at some point in the past, and basically tells Jake, hey, I'm going to kill these two guys.
Right.
And Jake just kind of shrugs it off. And we learn why later. We all know why, but
which I think could have been expanded on more in this movie. Because Jake will mention throughout the movie the fact that Carl Lee says, I'm going to go kill those two boys. There's two men. They keep calling them young boys because they're 23 and they hurt a 10-year-old. So, but they're men. They're adults.
They're adults.
So Jake feels this thing like I'm kind of responsible for not taking Carl Lee's threat to go kill them seriously. And then Carl Lee does the next big scene is that he goes to the courthouse. He kills them both and wounds a police officer. So now Jake, the white lawyer, feels like it's kind of his responsibility that he didn't stop Carl Lee harder or tell the sheriff. And then he has to wonder why he didn't do that. He could say he didn't think he would really go through with it, but he knows deep down that he feels the rage of a parent and thinks these two guys deserve to die anyway. And he approves of Carl Lee going to shoot this vigilante justice.
And the murder scene of these two men, in the middle of this big courthouse, and it does. I'm playing on the screen behind me. To Kill a Mockingbird, but it does feel very much like a To Kill a Mockingbird, where everybody for some reason is in the courthouse at that time above them on the balcony watching as these two men are escorted in, and then Carly just comes from like a closet with an assault rifle, machine gun, like not
a well shot scene.
No, it's not at all, and there's a lot of potential here for it to be a well shot scene, but it is not. And
some of the time it spends on something else it could spend on some of the build up. I don't love this when movies do it a lot, but it is a very classic, effective movie take where you like you watch the person who's about to do this crazy thing, like make preparations, shake, close their eyes, talk to themselves, like know that they've only got 2 seconds left. Are they actually going to do it? And then they break through the doors and do it. But
I don't know if you read the synopsis for the book or any of the plot points of the book and trivia or any of that stuff, but like I actually think the book handles the shooting of these two men way better. It's not done in front of an entire town of people. It is done like on a back staircase, and there's only one witness to the thing, so it kind of makes it a little bit more interesting of a trial, as in we don't have 1,000 eyewitnesses. We have a little bit of a only one witness there. I think it makes it a little bit more interesting.
I think in a legal way, I would like that more because there's more court stuff to like figure out and potential doubt and proof you have to put on things and convince the jury of. I think in the movie, I like the fact that it takes like 20, 25 minutes to get past the shooting or whatever. I mean, we don't get to the trial till 92 minutes into this movie.
I didn't even think that's the preliminary hearing.
No, that's the first day of the actual trial.
Okay.
Preliminary hearing does happen a lot earlier than that. And the jury selection happens real fast between that. But the first day of the actual trial is over an hour and a half into this movie. This takes about 20, 25 minutes. But I think it is important that I watched this with my girlfriend who knew very little about it. But I was like, I think you'd like this movie. You should watch it with me. And I got to see through her eyes the surprise of, okay, oh wow, these guys are just going to be caught that fast. Oh, he's going to shoot him. Oh, everybody saw he's guilty. And I'm like, yeah, this movie's not about like catching the people who did this in a racist town, in the South. It's about whether or not like Samuel L. Jackson deserves to go to jail or get the death penalty. But I think the movie wants to clear all that up and say, this guy did it. It's not about lying to the jury to say that he didn't do it. And it's not even that much about him being temporarily insane. I think the movie doesn't like that it has to do that, because what it wants to do is say, hey, aren't we all cool with what he did? Like that's what this movie wants to do, is to convince multiple white people that a black man's allowed to murder the rapist of his child. That's what the movie wants to do. So it kind of clears out a lot of like potential movie plots fast so that we can focus on what it is.
It is crazy how much, like, as I was watching Primal Fear last week, I was like, this is not plausible at all. Like, none of this courtroom stuff is like is even close to being legitimate. And then I watched this movie, I was like, what the heck is going? This is Mickey Mouse stuff compared to what Primal Fear was doing.
Yeah, I'm interested in which parts, because I'd probably agree, but I didn't. There weren't a lot of things I wrote down that was like, that's not how court works. But I mean, I'm sure there's real parts to that.
Yeah. I don't know. There are so many little things in this movie that I was like, where are we going with this? Why is the NAACP like, this is
that part,
wild stuff. But yeah, the murder of the two men happens, and now you got Carly Haley in custody, and he's definitely guilty of killing two men. And
Jake goes to see him and decides, I'm going to defend him. I'm going to defend this person, even though we also get a lot of introductions to his sassy law office secretary. I don't know if sassy's the right word. No, a miserable person, but also
sassy. Yeah. I like
and then we get introduced to Oliver Platt, who's kind of the comic relief of this movie a little bit. His divorce lawyer, doesn't have scruples, buddy. You get Donald Sutherland, who was disbarred for
beating up cops. Yeah.
And now is just a drunk. He's like a Matthew McConaughey, Jake's mentor. And then you get Sandra Bullock coming to town as a liberal young law student who wants to eliminate the death penalty and is trying to offer her services for free to help Carly, Samuel L. Jackson, be found innocent. You get a bunch of that going on.
Yeah, you see her whenever the two men are shot. and she's just kind of lingering around. You keep wondering, when is she going to like step in? It's Sandra Bullock. She's billed second on the poster.
There is a shot where Oliver Platt, through blinds and a block away, sees the back of her head in her car, and he goes, "Well, what's that?" Like, I don't know, man. That could be anything. He's into how hot she is through like 9 like sniper for hot women, I guess. You can find
them. My next scene is the preliminary hearing. Is that what you have?
I'm not sure. I don't have that. Talk about it.
Yeah, so the preliminary hearing is basically Jake's way of trying to move the trial out of Canton, Mississippi, which I think in the book it's Clanton, Mississippi.
Yeah, but Canton's a real place.
Yeah.
Canton's not.
But Canton is this very, majority white town in Mississippi that he's just absolutely, we got to get this out of this county and this town in order to up the Black population in the area so that we'll have a better chance with the jury selection. This scene here is basically our introduction to Judge Noose. Yes, that is his real name in this book, this movie, Judge Noose, and Kevin Spacey, who is running for governor of Mississippi and is in a very Frank Underwood way.
Yeah,
this is
really
such
pre-Frank Underwood for sure.
Pre-Frank Underwood. And this is like the height of Spacey. Like, he's coming off of Seven. He's coming off of Usual Suspects. So to have Kevin Spacey,
he's playing a villain, and he's great at playing a villain.
He's so good at playing
in
a villain.
real life and on screen.
But basically, this is just that part of this where you get in. It's a judge that's under the thumb of Kevin Spacey's character, and they're not planning on moving this trial anywhere. They're not, the jury's going to be what it's going to be.
No bail.
No bail. And then also our introduction to Ellen Rourke, who gives Matthew McConaughey a sheet of paper that says, hey, they can't do what they're doing like right away. So we can postpone this and get them to move the trial. Maybe. Doesn't work, but
it doesn't work. But I think in court, you kind of like, you do stuff like that. Basically, like the judge, they both kind of, I think they both admit in the next scene, like, the judge just wants to say, no, we're not moving the trial without receiving an official motion, a written thing with rationale and arguments for why the trial should be moved.
Yeah.
And he just wants to say no without reading that. And she provides him with a couple precedents that say these two cases in 1985, which I guess is like a couple years earlier, got overturned because a judge didn't properly, let somebody do that. So he's like, okay, well then we will give you time to write up that motion to change venues, even though they both kind of know that it's going to be denied anyway.
Yeah. And I think this is all just so they have a quick, speedy trial that puts a black man in jail, or puts a black man in the electric chair, helps Kevin Spacey get nominated or elected for governor. So I think this is all a part of that. It's a high profile case. It's a murder case. And puts the spotlight on
it's cynical people in power versus this underdog lawyer and his beginning to formulate ragtag team of heroes. And then around that, right after that, like, you do get the beginning of the worst part of this movie. The worst executed part of this movie is throughout this movie, you see the KKK, who was present in Mississippi but not in Canton, really, become a thing in Canton and cause greater and greater chaos. So underlying this movie is the threats of the KKK, burning crosses, burning houses, bombing places, threatening people, sniping people out with full robes and headgear in public. And that keeps escalating in the background of this movie. Now, everything about the KKK, every scene that's about them is dumb. And it looks bad. It looks bad. It seems unrealistic and it's dumb. Instead of making them frightening, they're ridiculous. And not because they want to make the KKK look ridiculous for a good point or for humor. They just fail to make that part of the movie look good. And it's one of the biggest things I'd cut out, especially because the KKK thing doesn't tend to overlap with the trial thing very much.
And with the introduction of like Kiefer Sutherland as the brother to one of the men that was killed, like he could have done all of this revenge plot without the KKK.
Yes.
Like the involvement there. Not saying that,
You gotta go get Red Foreman involved.
Yeah, gotta go get Kurtwood Smith in here, who's just, as we've been watching movies over the last 4 years, like it's crazy how much Kurtwood Smith is in.
Yeah, he was
in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
But wild as the Grand Master Dragon, whatever the heck they are in the KKK. But like giving his buddies like little application forms, I thought was very funny.
Yeah, I was like, oh, you have printed out application forms to join the KKK and establish a new chapter, which honestly might be true, but
it might be. But do they gotta
in a movie?
Do you have to get those notarized? Like,
I don't know. Like, do you have duplicate? Do I get to keep a copy?
He's like, yeah, just get 4 of your friends. it's an MLM scheme.
5 or 6 friends, and he shows up with like 3 people. He's like, yeah, that's enough.
It's the Plexus or the Tupperware party of the South for men. It's just another MLM.
Literally a pyramid scheme on your head.
Sign up 4 of your friends.
Now will go throughout, but it just doesn't work, and it's bloating a pretty good movie. And that's the big problem with it. Now, a lot of it is threatening Jake to like drop the case and stop defending this guy, but it doesn't make sense because the guy's going to have a trial no matter what, and nobody thinks Jake's going to win all the way up to the last second, Yeah. So like, why are they putting all this effort in? I guess just to punish him for, associating with a black man or being on his side. But it's all pretty stupid.
Yeah.
And then I want to point out, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, it's just to give like an extra thrill to the movie. So we have bombs going off. We have people getting attacked in the middle of the night or kidnapped in the middle of the night to show off that intimidation factor and to strain, Jake's marriage with Ashley Judd, like, which I guess is a point that is in this movie.
Well, you're right. I didn't actually think of that obvious answer, that all of that stuff is just to make it not a boring talky movie.
Yeah.
I didn't think about that because I like boring talky movies, and I think most action sequences are lame. Like, I think some of them are very cool, but most of them are very lame, and these are all very lame.
Very lame.
Yeah. So like, but yeah, that's what it is. They didn't want to make a talky intellectual movie. They wanted there to be some explosions, some fires, stuff like that.
And that's why a movie like Michael Clayton is so good, and I think everybody should watch Michael Clayton.
Yeah.
Because it's very talky and it's not a lot of action. But this gives us our first like action scene when a KKK member is coming to plant a bomb at Jake's house. That's the first one I have of all these little action scenes.
Yeah, that's the first slide. Like, you get a lot of little things about him, like the brother looking for the KK, meeting the KKK, joining the KKK, getting initiated into the KKK. And then finally, this is the KKK doing something.
Yeah. And it's not even any of those guys that were recruited for the KKK. It was just some random KKK
Throughout this movie, there is one good KKK guy.
Mickey Mouse.
And he's got a really dumb Mickey Mouse tattoo. And he calls himself Mickey Mouse at the beginning because she's calling Ashley Judd. This seems so dumb. He calls Ashley Judd to be like, get your little girl out of the house now. And she's like, who is this? And he's like, oh, I don't know how to answer that question. I guess I'll call myself Mickey Mouse instead of saying, who cares? Get her out of the house. She's in trouble, right? And then they're not actually under attack. There's a burning cross in their front.
Oh, yeah, that's the first thing.
And then Ashley Judd picks up her little girl and screams and goes, I got to get out of this house, and runs toward the burning cross at the front door.
My favorite burning cross scene is when it somehow sets their entire house on fire.
Yes, and that thing is on fire. Later in the movie, when their house burns down, that I've never seen a house more on fire than that one. They used a napalm for that scene.
And they just threw a cross that was on fire in their yard, and somehow
in the yard, like on like the picket fence in the bush, like 40 feet from the front steps. Yeah.
It just catches everything on fire. It's crazy. But the bomb scene, they know they've been tipped off by Mickey Mouse that somebody's going to die tonight. And this guy runs up with a briefcase. Some redneck with a briefcase just shows up and tries to plant this bomb and gets attacked by the sheriff and Jake.
Yes.
Jake ends up being.
He is swinging. He is hitting the shit out of this guy. There's a lot of backhanded slaps and punches in this movie, and Shoemaker films them hard. It's like a Rocky movie. Like, you feel everyone.
No bat nipples in this one though, but yeah.
So
So
you
we
get
can,
Matthew McConaughey's nipples because you find out they've been tipped off and the cops know this is coming, I think.
yes, they do.
So I don't know why Matthew McConaughey had to have his shirt unbuttoned for this scene. Well, I know why.
Yeah, let's be honest. But like he's in cops' custody, and Matthew McConaughey is just swinging on this man.
Yes.
Again, lawsuit just right there.
Well, the scene is so dumb. It seems like they're saying like we have to Guantanamo this guy immediately to figure out how to defuse this bomb. And I'm going, throw the bomb, just throw it away, throw it right now. And then they open it up, which they shouldn't do. We should not do it. It's in a suitcase. They open it up and like, we'll do that. And then I go, oh, it's only 3 pieces of dynamite. Throw it right now. And then Matthew McConaughey says, what does this thing do? And like rips something off and it starts beeping really fast. And then he throws it. And yeah, because it's only 3 pieces of dynamite, it doesn't hurt anything.
It blows up the tree outside. Like that's the biggest thing that happens.
Yeah.
But yeah, give you a little bit of action suspense for this movie. And we learned that the KKK is coming after Matthew McConaughey. And after this, Ashley Judd and her daughter are, go hang out with her parents wherever. And so, yeah, first rule of bombs is always open the case. It's definitely
and if you don't know how to defuse it, if the Nazi you're hitting isn't telling you how to defuse it, shake it around a little bit. I think that if that bomb exploded, I mean, this is a dumb thing that I'm just nitpicking, but like, I think if that bomb exploded right where you left it, I'm not sure it probably
would have done anything.
Window. Like it would blow up the porch. That 3 pieces of dynamite's not gonna like.
It wasn't as effective as a burning cross 40 feet from their house.
That's a real move. Yeah.
What's your next scene?
All right. Well, we got to talk a little bit in here because there's a dumb subplot that's kind of crazy where now Carl Lee Haley's in jail and he can't make money for his family, so they're starving. And the NAACP comes down. And in this movie, the NAACP are the bad guys.
Are bad guys. I have that written in my notes. I was just like, why are they villains?
Yes. Now, listen, the organization NAACP, I'm sure, is not like perfect in its entire like history. I'm sure they've done dumb things or money things or whatever. That's just people and organizations. But like the idea to put the NAACP in this movie and then make them the bad guy is crazy. And I think it points to the fact that not far under the surface, this movie is deeply conservative, and 1996 is a deeply conservative time. So the NAACP are treated not as violent and horrible, but almost as like outside of where we should be as much as the KKK are. Because at least you have one good KKK guy. The NAACP are just assholes all the way through.
Yeah, we don't have any good ones there. I don't know what it is. Like, it feels very Aaron Sorkin-y. In the like newsroom Aaron Sorkin-y, where he's trying to straddle where he's trying to straddle the fence a little bit and be like, oh, conservatives and liberals, where we've got bad guys on both sides of the fence.
And it's anti-Semitic very much in that scene. They have a character, the NAACP comes down and they get the preacher of the church, Carl Lee Haley family's like church, a black church, to basically say, hey, you're going to get some money. You're getting good with us if you help us get Carl Lee to dump this white guy and like let us represent him for, the fact that make this a national case and presumably to get him off, to like have him declared innocent. But also there's at least a suggestion that like they martyr some cases, that they lose some cases on purpose to create better press. Mm-hmm. And then the black men of the NAACP are also joined by a very Jewish guy with a very Jewish name who is just like oozing, like it's just very much like a Nazi. Like he's very unctuous and smiley and deep voiced and gravelly. And he's like, we can do all sorts of things. This is my death squad, like this creepy Jewish lawyer. And but basically, it is kind of a cool scene where Carl Lee uses his ingenuity while in jail. And Jake Brigance kind of turn it around on them and are able to get all the money they raised for themselves by lawyering.
Yeah, $7,000, and Carl Lee gets $2,000 of that for his wife and kids, and then the rest of the $5,000. Because that's another plot point of this is that Matthew McConaughey is broke and can't pay the rent or electric or anything in his law office.
Right.
Can't even afford his.
And earlier,
assistant.
he's like harassing Carl Lee for like, you only got me $900. I can't do this. I need to feed my kids. And he's like, I didn't feed my kids. I'm in jail. Like, what did you think you were getting when you signed on to this? And then at one point, the leader of the NAACP like tells the pastor, he goes, the only reason Carl Lee Haley is on trial is because he's a black man. And I'm like, that's not the only reason he's on trial. He's on trial because he took an automatic weapon and publicly murdered 2 people. Like, I can understand, like, he's not going to get a fair trial in Mississippi or with a white lawyer or a broke local lawyer or a public defender. That makes sense. But I don't know. It doesn't. All of it's really silly.
Do you think that is written like that because of OJ's trial that's happening? You know, that happened 95, 94?
Yes.
And you know, the Johnny Cochran of it all. Like, is this the conservative view of Johnny Cochran being like, hey, he's only on trial here because he's black?
Johnny Cochran and Al Sharpton, like who he turned into or whatever. I mean, there's definitely like, I even grew up around mostly white people, and as a kid would hear like, you know, not deeply coded racist things about like, well, these black lawyers are clearly trying to be famous and get on TV and blah, 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 you know. And I'm sure there's some of that exists, but yeah, to put all of that on the NAACP when they could have just left him out of this movie, like, it's fine. Like, we don't need to know about the wider world. We just have to stay in Mississippi here for this movie. So it's all weird.
Yeah, it felt very. And the other thing in this, I had a sense of doubt. I was like, yeah, Jake, like, you don't need to take this case anymore. They've got like nationally known big lawyers that probably have more experience than Kevin Spacey, who is the other big bad of this movie, who's just, you know, trying to be. I was like, these guys probably have practice on way more murder cases. Just let them have it at this point.
And literally, the only thing that they provide is that he's like, is it true that sometimes you tank these cases on purpose for like, for the PR you can milk out of it, I guess, or the political narrative you can milk out of it. And like, that's not like admitted to or proven that that's what they're here to do. But I guess that's the only reason why they can't have, why Carl Lee can't have this better defense.
Instead, he just gets this ragtag group of white heroes to lead the charge. What's your next scene?
When Sandra Bullock as Rourke is at Claude's, because Claude's is a black restaurant that Matthew McConaughey is like the only white guy cool enough to go to. And he takes her there. She's kind of stalking him to get on the case because he still hasn't let her join. And this is kind of when he lets her join. But they have I think going to the politics of the movie, they have a back and forth about the death penalty.
Yeah.
And she tells him off and is disgusted by him. And he makes no arguments whatsoever. And then she apologizes.
Yeah, she's just like, I'm sorry. Yeah. Like, she's been over like not even a block away from him, just waiting on him to come by so she can.
And then he immediately does the Southern fragility thing where he was like, oh, you liberal Northerners, like, of course you come down here and think that you're the only ones who know what's right and wrong. And she never once says anything about him being Southern or it being in the South. She's like, I hate the death penalty. I hate racism. That's why I'm here. And she never once like uses identity to hurt him. But he immediately is like, the second she has a smart thing to say, the second this woman has a smart thing to say, he just immediately like puts her in a stereotypical hole. And then she like rips him apart for never having seen an execution or watching a man die. And then rips him apart for how do you know who deserves to die or not? And then rips him apart for being an asshole and then apologizes. And so now she's on the team.
Yeah. Welcome to the team, Sandy. Yeah. You're doing great. Is she's on the team by the time we get to the jury selection, right?
Yes. That's kind of what happens next. Then there's like a team meeting. Now they're all assembled. There's one team meeting where you've got like Oliver Platt, Donald Sutherland, her, and Jake. And then it's the jury selection.
Which they're basically like, hey, we just, we're not going to get a fair shake here. We just need to get as many old white or young white men as possible.
Yes.
I was like, really? Young white men?
Yeah, they basically say, I mean, probably not inaccurately, that younger people are less likely to be racist. And I think they don't really say it out loud, but I think the idea is that men are more likely to be violent and to consider some violence to be justified. So like vigilantism is very a male thing more than a female thing.
But I feel like they end up splitting the jury and don't get a single young person on that, like younger person. It's just old white people.
Yeah, the movie rushes through the jury selection really fast, which is crazy because it's 2.5 hours long.
Yeah.
And then it just kind of cuts immediately to like they lose and everybody on it's an old white person. Some women, a lot of women actually, but they're all old white people. Not a single black person on the jury.
No, and we also get like a slight thing before the jury selection of like, oh, we've got all these jury members here and they're confidential, and then you have like Kevin Spacey's team as Kevin Spacey's giving this interview, like behind them with a big envelope that says confidential on it. That they're
literally journalists flooding Kevin Spacey, and he's like, "This is how jury selection works. The names are protected in a folder and nobody's going to see them." And then like right behind the journalist, his buddy's like, "I got the folder right here."
It's confidential. He's shaking it at him. Like
it's confidential, really big.
Real big.
And Kevin Spacey's not like, "Not now, asshole." Like,
he's just like,
and then not a single journalist notices.
No, not out. It's very minimal and
yeah, but it's dumb.
It's so dumb. It is very dumb. Yeah, I had jury selection. What else? What do you have now?
The big riot, the big protester. Now the KKK are marching in the streets like a week after they were formed.
Our next like big action scene.
Yeah, and this whole scene feels like it was filmed by Mel Brooks. It's really bad. Again, the KKK look ridiculous and not scary.
Just marching in like they're Vince McMahon going down the ramp at a WrestleMania. Kurtwood Smith and his red KKK gear just gets lit on fire.
And it was amazing.
That was the best part of the
It was the thing I was like, I know it's going to be one of my laughs for this movie. It was hilarious watching that Grand Dragon in his red robes scream for his life as he's lit on fire by a Molotov cocktail thrown by a teenager on top of the courthouse.
Great. And then also like we randomly get Matthew McConaughey running into the crowd because he sees the sheriff getting beat up, and then Matthew McConaughey gets sliced.
Yeah, he gets butt cut.
It was on his butt.
His back is turned, and a guy with a knife says, "This is for Billy Ray or whatever his name is. This is for him." And he could like stab him in the kidneys. He could reach around and get his throat. He could stab him a bunch of times. He goes, "This is for Billy Ray," and he cuts him right under the butt. Just like a 2-inch cut right under the butt.
Which is really the whole purpose of him getting scratched. I'm going to call it a scratch. Is just so he will take his pants off in front of Sandra Bullock, who keep trying to take
his pants off and then lifts his shirt to check out his butt and comment on it, which is all inappropriate.
So weird.
So in this will they, won't they? Sandra Bullock, by the end of the movie, looking back on it, is like she's not written the best as a female character. No. She's definitely given a lot of intelligence, but she seems like thirsty for Matthew McConaughey so hard. She makes every move toward him, gets rebuffed constantly. He's a married man. And then like at the end, and then at many times she has to, well, I talked about the Claude scene or whatever it is that she like is right in an argument and then has to apologize for it. And then other times she's like looking up at him dreamily when he does a good lawyer thing. And it's not necessary in this movie, and it's all gross.
And it's also super weird that she has to beg him to be on his legal team, even though she's like, I have as much money. I have more money than I know what to do with. I don't need this. I want to do this for free. Like, I'll be your legal assistant.
He lists tons of qualifications and says, I'll work for free. And there's not a good reason. There's never given a good reason why he says no every time.
She even has like
saves his ass like 3 times. And she's like, can I be in your team now? And he's like, no, I'm chewing on a cigar. I think I got it. I'm like, bro, you don't got it.
I was like, this is some famous lawyer's daughter. Like, put her on your team.
Yeah. Meanwhile, he's begging his amoral friend and his like drunk mentor to like come, and they want nothing to do with it. They're not into it at all. And this woman's like, I'm a really good researcher. Here's my proof, And she's like, nah, I don't think so.
What we really miss is the Oliver Platt, Sandra Bullock love story. Because I think there was something that could have been done there.
I mean, they flirt pretty well together.
They do. They're really good together.
This is the movie that introduced me to Oliver Platt, and it's the reason I probably always love him, no matter what he's in.
Mine is Three Musketeers. That's my intro to Oliver Platt. Another Kiefer Sutherland Oliver Platt movie.
Oh wow!
So
check that one out.
So we get this. We get the KKK guy getting set on fire. No repercussions of that in this movie, except that
Kiefer the National Guard comes.
Oh yeah, National Guard does come.
Now there's tanks in the streets.
Kiefer Sutherland essentially just kind of walks into being the the Grand Dragon now, or
Yes.
Grand?
Even though he was like, and he didn't know the KKK was a thing 2 weeks ago. It was initiated last week. And then, well, after the guy gets caught on fire, one of my favorite scenes is when the guy comes back to the KKK headquarters, which is like somebody's mom's basement with like a flag that just says KKK on the concrete. And then he comes back and he goes, "Stump's dead."
Stump Sisson.
Stump's dead.
This movie's great. After that, we get this is when we get the fire, right? We get like the big KKK, the revenge scenes.
Right. Now that they've killed the Grand Dragon, then they're like, no, Stump's not dead. I'm gonna 24 this shit and I'm gonna take over. And and so they burn crosses in front of the jailhouse, which doesn't really have a follow-up, but the one cross they burn at Jake's house just burns the entire like half of Mississippi down, it seems like.
It's crazy. And then
Jake really wants to run into the fire because a dog we have not seen or heard been mentioned yet might be in there. He's got a dog all of a sudden. He's like, my dog's in there. My dog's in there. I was like, when did you have a dog?
Yes. Okay, good. I'm glad, because I was kind of freaking out when I was watching this. I was like, I know that there's a dog scene in this, but I was like, was there any mention of the dog or sight of the dog at the beginning of this movie? And there's not.
There's not.
He's just like, my dog's in there. And then
the scene the next morning is he is acting so much. It's too much in the next scene, because now like the sun's up and it's supposed to be the first day of the trial, and he is just sitting down shirtless in the ashes of his entire life, covered in blood and scratches and soot and tears, and he's just calling his dog like, "Come on, Max. Come on, boy." Like he's a broken man. It doesn't belong in this movie. It's effective, but it's way too much.
And for those who are worried about the dog, don't worry. The dog did not die in the fire.
Yeah.
Even though Oliver Platt said that dog's dead.
Yeah, that was hilarious. Because I like that. I don't like the scene because Matthew McConaughey's overacting. As much as like, how can you overact in a situation like that? It's too much. But I like the back and forth between him and Oliver Platt, because he's being a friend. He shows up with the plane ticket. He's like, all right, throw in the towel. The NAACP will be down there. The judge is going to delay the trial. I mean, you had a KKK attack because you were defending them. The judge is going to like delay the trial, until they can get things straight. Just go see your family. And he's like, look, your marriage is falling apart. You're about to have an affair. Like, your career's in ruins. You got to give up. And the guy's like, I got to find Max. And he's like, Max is dead and you're about to be. Love.
And then he gets Max, in a homeward bound moment. Max comes out.
He was like underneath. He was clearly like, stay there, stay.
Now go.
Hey, now go. And you can tell us what's happening behind the scenes.
It's pretty good. So the fire. And then also we get, at one point, his secretaries gets attacked. Her husband, who's had two strokes previous to this.
Yeah.
And if she even says, if he has a third one, he's going to die.
Yep.
And then she and her husband.
And that was a hoods only operation. I don't know the deep, like, the rules of when you put the full robes on, but attacking the old man and the old lady was just the KKK hoods, regular plain clothes underneath. No robes.
Yeah, no robes. That's just a hoods only.
Hoods only. And
he gets attacked and then laid on the ground. I don't remember how they leave or why they leave. Just because.
Well, they're in the hospital.
They scared him?
For like the big chunk of the movie after that.
Yeah. And
then later you find out that he's died.
Yeah, that he died.
And then she gives him a big speech. She gave a speech earlier. Like rewinding back to like before right after like the first instance of the KKK like being shown, Red Foreman. All they've done is the plea thing. Like, can we change venues? And that's all they've done. And immediately after that, his wife and his secretary are like, it's like, you don't even see us anymore. You've been working so hard on this case. And I was like, he's not working that hard on this case.
Really Sandra Bullock's done more work than he has.
Like, the time thing is all messed up. So That and his wife is like, you didn't call, you missed dinner. Like people are calling their kid names at school, and like you don't even notice me since you've had this case. And I'm like, you just got the case 8 minutes ago. I don't understand why you guys feel that way. We have 2 hours left in this movie. So the last thing you get from the secretary is when she gives him a speech because her husband died, and she goes, "Oh, you some people might think it's real brave what you did, but I didn't. I don't think you're brave. In fact, even if you win this case, I think we all lost." And I was like, "Fuck you, bitch! Like, why are you such an asshole? Like, it's not his fault that the KKK attacked you."
I read that in the book. She's an even bigger jerk.
Yeah, well, I think I read in the book that she's like just incompetent and maybe a little more comedic, and they maybe wanted to give this really good actress, this really good British actress, like more to do, but it's weird. Her character, like he's always horrible to her, and she's always horrible to him, and none of it matters. It makes them both look like assholes.
And basically, there's just more blood on Jake's hands.
Yeah, which there's enough going on in the movie. They don't need it.
Yeah, they don't need it at all.
No. Then a National Guard member gets sniped by a Nazi. That happens.
By Kiefer Sutherland, he snipes him.
Right. And I am coming to you live from Memphis, so I also laughed a little bit at that scene.
And then we get into the trial.
The trial finally starts.
The trial finally starts, and before the trial starts, they, I don't remember if there's opening statements or anything like that, but they get right into the calling their testimony, like their witnesses or whatever.
Yeah, I didn't make it one of my important scenes, but the first two things is you get the mother of Billy Ray Cyrus, and then you get the sheriff testimony, which isn't that important, except that Matthew McConaughey, like, I don't understand this at all, like decides that his opening move, Oliver Platt later is like, he has to draw first blood. But this mother is grieving, even if she's a racist or a bigot. Like, we usually are like thoughts and prayers to like even the mothers of school shooters, right? Like, yeah. And this mother is grieving, and on the stand talking about her son's death, he's like, "How many other children did your dead son rape?" And I was like, "Whoa, that's great. What's the point of this?"
They ask like 3 questions apiece.
Yeah.
Like maybe. I feel like Matthew McConaughey
the sheriff is there to reveal that a confession was signed, just to because. The whole trial, Matthew McConaughey is trying to get the jury to think about the rape, and Kevin Spacey trying to say that's not what this is about.
Yeah, and there's not much good lawyering in here. If you want to say like it's just Matthew McConaughey getting them to talk about the rape, and then the judge being like, "Strike that from the record, strike that. Don't pay attention to that." We also get like the jury subplot too, of like them meeting up and conspiring behind the jury walls, like they're being taken out to eat. And
I assume they're like sequestered or something, so they're all eating together at the same Chinese restaurant, and the one clearly, like, you could pick out the most racist looking juror from a mile away, is like, "Let's talk about it," and then even though we're not supposed to, and then they take like a preliminary vote, and they realize like it's like 7 people think Carl Lee's guilty, 1 doesn't, and 4 are undecided.
And why would that need to happen at a Chinese restaurant later? I'm sure you've already deliberated things in a jury room.
Yeah, you've already talked about it in a jury room, so it doesn't need to happen there. You could have shown it in a jury room, but it's just to add more like doom and gloom. Like it's a really uphill battle, but again, not necessary.
Not necessary. Then he gets shot at. The guard gets shot at, and then the next day is going to be the testimony of the 2 psychiatrists.
No, I have one before that, a very important one. Well, it is the next day, but before that happens is the testimony of Chris Cooper.
Oh yeah, the deputy.
Yeah. Who's now, because he accidentally got shot because he was escorting the 2 dudes into the court. Carl Lee accidentally shot him in the knee, or a ricochet hit him in the knee, and he had to get his leg amputated because, Mississippi hospitals. And now he can't be a cop anymore, which makes him cry a little bit.
He's a little sad. His son's real upset about it too.
There's plenty of services I can still perform. Because I love this scene. This is one of the scenes I remember from the movie, and it's the only scene. There's one line in it that he performs that will make me tear up every time. But basically, he's just answering questions, and he had, Carl Lee had gone to the hospital and said, "I'm sorry for shooting you. I wasn't aiming for you. My bad." And then now that's revealed in court. So everybody, like even Carl Lee's own lawyers, are like, "What? You went to the hospital and admitted to doing it?" But Samuel L. Jackson goes, Matthew McConaughey doesn't want him on the stand anymore, and Samuel L. Jackson goes, no, don't do that. Like, ask him if he thinks I should go to jail. And Matthew McConaughey's like, you got his leg cut off. I don't think we should do that. But he forces him to do it, and then he asks him like if he thinks he should go to jail, and he goes, I got a little girl. Anybody rapes her, he's a dead dog. And every time he says, I got a little girl, like keeping tears back, it makes me cry every time.
And he's like, let him loose.
You turn him loose.
You turn him loose.
Anybody rapes her, he's a dead dog.
I love Chris Cooper, though.
I love Chris Cooper so much. And that
So
one
much.
scene is one of my favorite scenes in the movie.
Yes, I highlighted the deputy's testimony as well. After the deputy's testimony, that's when we get to the psych testimonies.
Yes.
And during this time, we have a scene between Sandra Bullock and Oliver Platt where she's like, what would you do? He's like, I'd cheat. And so that convinces Sandra Bullock to break into the mental hospital where this guy works to find just a file that makes him less credible.
Yeah, and they didn't have time to do the break-in, and they had to wait until he was already on the stand.
Yeah, I guess.
She's like across town at the mental hospital in Canton, Mississippi.
Also getting tailed by the KKK, who are still here.
Yeah, and you're like, oh, they're going to stop her from delivering these documents. No, they're going to wait for her to deliver the documents.
Yeah, they wait for her to deliver the documents, and then they kidnap her. And they think, God, whatever.
Well, there's some decent lawyering and not in the B&E at the last second, but like there's decent lawyering and ripping apart his the state's psychiatrist testimony, basically that he's never found anybody terminally insane, and that the courts have found somebody insane that now he treats as insane, even though he testified they weren't.
I feel like anybody could have gotten out of that. Yeah, I didn't think he was insane. That was my diagnosis. And yeah, somebody else found him, but yeah, he's in my care. I get more money from the
I think the fact that he never found anybody, he's been doing this as a career, or a side career, and has never found anybody insane. But I mean, it sows doubt in the testimony, which it doesn't have to prove anything. It just sows doubt. And it is weird. If you as a professional, or then I'm the chief psychiatrist at this mental hospital, I examined this person, found them insane. You either have to look at new evidence and change your mind, or you have to not admit them, because you can't just treat somebody that you think is sane. That's horrible. And
then we get the Emmett Walsh testimony where he's asked one question. I'm pretty positive. Do you think he's insane? And he's like, yes, I do.
Yeah, no, he goes into it. He's like, hey, what do you experience with the dissociative state? He explains.
But it's only one question. And then he lets him go talk. And then Kevin Spacey's like, hey, didn't you weren't you charged with statutory rape in Texas when you were?
And he goes, no. What are you talking about? And then he's like, we have evidence that you were. And he goes, oh, yeah, I did that.
And then we don't even get any further explanation behind this. We get it later in the movie when he's like, what if I told you that was his wife? That they were only 4 years apart.
What if I told you those boys shot themselves? Hey, who knows? Maybe I'm black. What is black anyway?
I do love that scene, though. He's like, what if I told you he was married to that very same girl that he statutory raped?
But then that is the thing. It seems like it's too cute. It doesn't work. But also he's like, what if I told you, she was 17 and he was 23? And I was like, so he's in his first year of law school and she's never lived outside of her parents' house. Yeah, it's a fucking creep.
Yeah, it did not feel good when he said, "What if I told you that?" It did not. It did not work for me. What's your next one?
There's Carl Lee's testimony.
Yeah,
and that just. I remember in the 90s and 2000s, if you were doing a Samuel L. Jackson impression, if somebody was a comedian or something, you would do Pulp Fiction, and the other one you would do this line. And I forgot that's where this line came from. I would have thought it came from Pulp Fiction or something, but it's the line where Kevin Spacey bullies him into yeah, but you're not really sad that you shot those people, even if you were insane. And then he eventually screams what does he say? yeah, they deserve to die, and I hope they burn in hell. Like, I remember people quoting that line all the time.
I just love in that scene too, where Matthew McConaughey is on the other side, like, don't say anything. And
Yeah.
he's just like,
Don't answer that
"I heard
question."
they burn in hell.
And he delivers it. Samuel L. Jackson's really good in this movie, and I think we'll like talk a little bit later that he had stuff cut out, which
Yeah.
was disappointing because he's doing really good acting here, and Matthew McConaughey is too. They're both really great in this movie.
Yeah, I think I wish that I could have seen more of what Samuel L. Jackson was talking about whenever he got interviewed about this movie 20 years later. Like, he didn't get as many scenes that would have made him more sympathetic.
Yeah, and his most famous roles aren't him being an everyman like this. So he's got this thing in his voice that you don't hear from him a lot, where he's like, "Listen, Jake, like I don't know what you want me to do." Like he's very earnest and pleading, but very confident at the same time. And you usually hear him like yelling or being like being a powerful character instead of a powerless one. So I really enjoyed watching him in this.
Right. Great scene, gets him to basically essentially ends the trial for not in favor of Samuel L. Jackson, and they come down to the closing statements, the closing arguments, whatever you want to call them. But before we get to the closing arguments, we get a very good scene, probably my favorite scene in the movie, with Carl Lee talking to Matthew McConaughey, and basically Carl Lee just being like, "I didn't hire you because you were my friend. I hired you because you are the enemy. You think like them. You talk like them. You are like them. You don't hang out with me. You don't let our kids play together. Like I'm just a black man to you, and that's what you see. We're not the same."
It's the smartest thing in this movie about race is that he's like, you can be like helpful to me and you can be kind to me, but you see me as a black man, so you'll never be friends with me.
Mm-hmm.
Like no matter what, you may see me out of kindness or pity or like common like human kindness or whatever, but like every time you see me, he says the N-word, Negro, Black, African American, you see me as a black man. That's all you see me as. So that's why I needed you. That's why you're my secret weapon. You need to say to those people what would convince you. Say that to them, and that's kind of like keying him up for his big like come back from behind.
And again, another section of this movie where somebody else is doing Jake's job,
because now we talk about Sandra Bullock gets kidnapped and tied to a tree, and then Mickey Mouse saves her. But that also means that she has to be in a hospital at the end of this movie instead of being there in the courthouse.
She's on the bench.
Yeah,
it's just like a Mighty Ducks situation.
Like she was a good distraction earlier, but now we really got to see the dude. But he visits her in the hospital and says something like, I forget what he says, but they both say things that like lead him to his closing argument, which is the climax of this movie.
Right. And so we get the closing statements. We get a typical one from, Kevin Spacey. He's like, he did it. Like,
but he doesn't just say he did it. He goes, you have to vote guilty, guilty, guilty. Like, oh, bro. So intense.
And then we get what I think probably most people remember from this is the Matthew McConaughey closing arguments. He is really focusing in and telling the story of the assault of this little girl, and goes through every single thing. I mean, some of the worst details you could possibly hear about this, and it's very effective. Obviously, all the jury members are like really he's focused in on them. You see the women crying, you see the men kind of startled as he announces some of the things that happened that he wasn't able to talk about in the trial at all.
So I think this is legitimate as a court thing. I think you can say almost anything.
You can say anything in the closing arguments, but what I'm saying is like the fact that they wouldn't let him talk about this other thing that happened.
Yeah, like why, the motive of why this person, which would lend itself to an insanity plea.
Right. So he's going through it, and he goes through the whole thing, explaining it, and then ends it all with, "Now imagine she's white."
Jackson goes, huh?
Oh my God! What if she was white?
Also, all right. Before we get into this final scene, the dumb plot where like Donald Sutherland's drunk and he's like, I promised I'd never go back into a courtroom, Jake. I'd never go back into a courtroom. I can't help you in there. I got to help you out here because I made a promise. And then like he walks into the very back of the courtroom in this scene, and then he's like, yeah, good job, buddy. Yeah, you got me in here. It's very dumb.
And then after he gives his speech to the jury, we see a young black man open the doors to the courthouse, and he says he's innocent.
Yeah. And everybody goes, ah. And then that woman takes that KKK hood off and spits like half a liter of saliva in his face. It's a big spit.
And so he wins. He gets to go free. The KKK members who have been, killing people and doing all this stuff, Kiefer Sutherland and his buddies, one of them is a cop. They end up getting arrested in a very quick, hey, you're under arrest, because Mickey Mouse, I presume, turned him in.
Yeah, I hated that because the cop that was part of him, he's like, you belong over there with those guys. I guess also like they recklessly show their faces a lot to Sandra Bullock too, so I figured that was part of it.
Yeah, and
pulls her over, and then she gets into the hospital and can probably say, "Yeah, he looks like this. This was his name,"
And the cop KKK member, I feel like they kept focusing in on him because they wanted to think that he was Mickey Mouse.
Yeah.
Instead of the guy who had said like maybe 2 lines earlier in the movie. So it was like a misdirect. At one point, I thought Oliver Platt was the KKK, like a secret.
That's
KKK
crazy.
I thought the voice on the phone, I was like, it sounds like Oliver Platt's voice. So
yeah.
Is he a KKK member?
Yeah, because they want you to know that Oliver Platt's a decent guy because early on, because the first time, not the first time you meet him, but like the second time you meet him, he's taking the day off of work because he's like, nothing's going to make me happier than seeing those 2 guys across the street hang. Like, you're like, okay, so he's not into bigotry, like, even though he's amoral because he's like a sleazy divorce lawyer, not because he's a bigot. He's a good guy. I mean, I'll say just to add a little bit to that last scene, the courtroom like monologue. It's a really good cinematic moment.
It really is,
and it was a smart move to let it play out quiet and long and slow. Matthew McConaughey has this rhythm as he describes these brutal things over and over and over again. And I think it's written pretty well and acted really well. And it's a shining moment in this movie. The logic around it and behind it and what it leads to is all dumb. But
yes,
it's all dumb and wrong. But like it is like the part of the movie that you would think like, nah, this is going to win some Oscars. And if you were watching this in the theaters, you're watching it for the first time, focused on it or whatever, you're gonna feel that moment for sure and remember it. And it sticks out. It's really good.
It reminds me of Primal Fear. It reminds me of the reveal in Primal Fear, and how we all learned that in '96. I think it works so well.
Yeah.
And then sitting here in 2026, you're like, oh, like it's a little cringy. Whether it's
cringy is like when he gets off and he gets innocent and Carl Lee's like, "Oh, thank you, Jake," and he's like, "Hey, don't forget, I'm the enemy, right?" I was like, "Bro,
so weird.
I don't think you were listening."
And then after that's all said and done, Jake gets invited to the cookout.
Yeah, he gets invited to the cookout. That's really the story is one boy's journey of getting invited to the cookout. One white boy's journey.
And then their daughters can play together.
Mm-hmm.
Even though one is extremely privileged and the other one is gonna need years of therapy. So
yeah.
And that, my friends, is A Time to Kill. We'll see you next. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm sweating like Ashley Judd over here.
So who was your favorite character, or was there a scene stealer?
My favorite character is Oliver Platt.
He's my scene stealer. I love Harry.
Well, the scene stealer, there's so many good supporting actors in this. I think Patrick McGowan was crazy. Chris Cooper was good.
I love Patrick McGowan's scene when he's painting on the top, like the balcony of his house, his plantation home.
Yeah,
and basically telling him that they're not going to move the trial. I like Patrick.
He's a classic actor. He's great. He's the king in Braveheart, but he's a million other things. And I kept waiting for his accent to crack, and it held up a little better than what's her faces did than the Angels in the Outfield lady.
Oh yeah, Maggie from Angels in the Outfield.
Yeah, her accent, Southern accent doesn't work quite as well, but his is all right.
She's an Oscar.
So my scene stealer out of like all of them is I just love Emmett Walsh. R.I.P. He died a couple years ago.
Yeah,
he's a great actor. I think he's amazing. And I loved the few minutes he was in this movie.
I guess I did statutory rape somebody.
He goes, I can explain.
I thought for sure it was going to be Stump's dead.
Stump's dead.
I mean, I like Jake. I think Jake is obviously he's our main character of the movie and everything. There are some weird scenes like the dog scene in there, but I for the whole movie, I think he was great job, great character. I thought I could see like these little Grisham things in there, and I'm like, there's a good character in there.
Yeah.
So, Jake and Harry is my scene stealer.
Harry Rex,
which isn't even his last name. That's his middle name.
There's a line that he says that me and Sage laughed our asses off at, and I was like, I just know that Cody can deliver that line. I know it's in your patois, and I just wanted to hear you do that line.
Do with me as you will. That one.
No. You gotta love a God who creates things.
Oh, gotta love the Lord for making things like that.
Yeah.
Gotta love the Lord for making things.
He's all heavy lidded. He's just like staring at it.
Gotta make the Lord. Yeah. Speaking of quotes, what are some other quotes that stick out to you?
Let's see what we got here. We talked about that. Oh, I do like when before the two guys get shot, like he's taking them out of the jail, and he tells them, if I get any trouble out of you guys, I'm going to integrate this jail.
It's a good line. Early in the movie, whenever Jake is taking the case, he's talking to Lucian, and Lucian says, it's an interesting case. If you win this case, justice will prevail. And if you lose, justice will also prevail. Now that is a strange case. He's just trashed. He's drunk. I think I love Donald Sutherland. Donald Sutherland, classic actor. Yeah. Never nominated for an Academy Award, which I learned in my research.
He's a big supporting actor, yeah.
Which is crazy, especially like his 70s and 80s. Like, just Donald Sutherland not even getting a nod is crazy to me. I think he is a bad drunk actor.
Oh yeah, well, and a bad Southern actor, but in a way that we all want to exist. Like he's like the most foghorn leghorn in this movie.
Oh yes.
Yeah, but we don't hate it. it's just dumb.
I mean, yeah, it's just dumb. It's really dumb.
Because man, the line I hated from him was when after Maggie, let's just call her Maggie, after the secretary is like, I think you're a bad person for defending this black man, and tells Jake off, and Jake has to take it, and then she's like, will you help me to my car? And he's like, Miss ma'am, I don't think you need any help, but it would be my honor to escort you to your vehicle. I'm like, shut the fuck up.
It would be my honor.
My honor to escort you to your vehicle.
It felt very Steel Magnolias. He's a character in Steel Magnolias for sure. I had that Harry Rex one, but there's another one when Ellen is introducing herself, and he says, and she goes, Ellen Rourke, brilliant law student, and he says, do with me as you will. And she says, looking forward to it. And he says, okay. Harry's the best.
And she's like, bye, morally compromised, and like, see you later, she.
Yeah, they gotta hook up. They gotta hook up at least. What else?
Let's see. You kind of mentioned the Harry Rex line. It was like, well, what would Harry Rex do? And he goes, cheat like crazy.
That's a good delivery you just had there. That was good. You are Oliver Platt.
I'd love to be Oliver Platt.
I'm a liberal, Roark. What I am not is a card-carrying ACLU radical.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Fuck him. That's okay. Mississippi's doing a lot better because of people like that. Since the 80s, it's really changed a lot. I love this line because it's the swerve in this line. It's when Carl Lee's talking to his wife and he's in jail. And he goes, I think about them two boys, dead, buried, probably starting to rot. And I remember them walking into court, one proud, the other scared. I remember how they fell, one on top of the other, screaming and squirming and not going nowhere. God help me, Gwen, but that's the only thought that gives me comfort. Like, you think he's gonna be like the whole like
sorry, yeah,
like, and I just don't know. I don't know what I'm doing anymore or whatever. But no, he's like, no, and that helps me sleep at night, thinking about how they squirmed as they died. Love it.
I don't have anything else. We already talked about some of the other ones in our discussion.
No, yeah, most of them we talked about. The last one is the last Harry Rex line too. Well, it's a oh, I do have I've spent 4 marriages trying to figure out what makes women happy. And Jake says, Harry Rex, you spent 4 marriages trying to figure out what makes you happy. And then Harry goes, oh yeah.
Oh yeah. I want a whole Harry Rex movie. I think that would be great.
But I do like I don't think I wrote it down, but there's when Harry Rex, we should have absolutely. There should be a spinoff of Harry Rex.
A TV show. Should be a TV show.
At law in like southern Mississippi. I would love that. There's another one where he meets Donald Sutherland. It's the first time those two characters have seen each other. They know each other though. And then, like Donald Sutherland calls him like the Pillsbury Doughboy or something. And then he's like, Lucian, I thought you were dead. And Donald Sutherland goes, I'm trying.
Now we can move on to our biggest laugh, cry, scare, thrill of the movie, which we've laughed a lot more at this movie than we probably should have. But
yeah, I don't know why. It's easy to talk about all the things that are like, what the fuck's going on there? And the stuff that works, you're just like, yeah, they do that, and that's what it is, and it works. You know, the Klan guy on fire was pretty hilarious. Stump's dead. We talked about.
Stump's dead.
Looking at my laughs. Oh yeah, Max is dead, and you're next. We talked about. And I thought you were dead. I'm trying. So that's all my laughs.
Yeah,
we hit them.
We got them all. I don't know if there's when he's going through and telling all the details of in his closing arguments, that's a pretty tearful moment there for anybody. Also, when Samuel L. Jackson finds out about how his daughter's doing in the hospital, that was pretty rough.
Yeah, there's a lot of scenes, and it's totally reasonable. It just felt slightly weird, but a lot of scenes that because of what she went through, like she'll never be able to bear children. And that is definitely like a big point of sadness. And anyways, there's lots of moments where they point to that. My biggest cry moment, I mean, there's a lot of obvious things, the actual rape scene and the last speech and everything. But the one little thing that got me a lot was he runs home from work because he hears that she's been attacked or raped or whatever, and runs home and finally gets home and grabs her and hugs her. And she's crying, and the only thing she says is, "Daddy, I'm sorry I dropped the groceries."
Mm-hmm.
I was like, "Oh fuck!" That really tore me up. That was really good because that's such a little kid thing to do. Like all this horrible stuff happened to you, and you're just worried that you got in trouble for
dropping the groceries.
Oh yeah,
that was bad. That was rough. I don't have anything else because none of I wasn't really scared or ever. Yeah, I did have Ellen's abduction on here a little bit because it was my first time watching it, so I was like, oh god, are we gonna see a repeat?
Get out of this? Yeah.
Are we gonna see a repeat of what happened at the beginning of this movie? And it was weird.
Kiefer has a long, intense villain monologue while she's tied up and blindfolded to a tree, and he's like, "This is what's gonna happen. First the bugs, and then the bears, and then the heat, and all this stuff is gonna happen to your body." And then after she's done, she's just immediately like, Carly should have shot you too. And that's one of those vicious backhand slaps.
Yeah. So yeah, that's all I got. Now let's move on to some of our ridiculous moments of this movie. WTF section.
WTF. You go ahead. I've got to cross these out. We talked about it a lot.
First off, this plays into what we were all taught in the 90s. If you're a 90s kid at all. And this movie really leans into the color blindness of the 90s and what we were all taught then. So that ridiculous moment, even though the Samuel Jackson's ending monologue, when he talks about I felt like that was the best in the movie and actually steered away from the color blindness part of it.
No, again, it was the most intelligent part. And it speaks to something that would be considered, unfortunately today, still very radical, which is when you talk to people about race in America, white people who are resistant to give it credence or to listen to it, want to focus so much on technical legal realities or opportunities rather than the way the world works every day. And what Samuel Jackson's speaking to in that moment is, no, most white people are still raised to think of black people as others. And even if you end up rejecting that, I know I have to stop myself sometimes because that's how I was raised.
Right.
And so then when I see people in my day-to-day life, I have to remember this is a person, not a black person. It doesn't mean that I think less about them. It's just how I actually process seeing them or talking to them. And that's will never be an equitable society if that's not a secondary thought instead of a primary one. And that's
Right.
what he's getting to. And that's so much more radical than anything else in this movie.
Yes.
Because boomer racism is like, well, you got to get a fair trial. And then that's it. And then there's no more racism. You got to have like the same water fountain and be able to run for office and be able to vote. And that's the end of racism. But racism is baked into us so much deeper. So anyways, like you said, it's the smartest part of the movie.
Yeah.
That immediately gets undermined when Jake then proves that he's one of the good ones.
I'm one of the good ones. Invite me to the cookout. Yeah, so I had that. I also wanted to bring up really early on, one of the two bad men from the beginning of this movie, the outfit that Billy Ray is wearing, I want to point out, it's on Nicky Katt's character, and he's wearing like a tank top, but it's like a crop top tank top. It's like the most. Yeah,
there's a lot of crop top, rednecks and crop tops in this.
It is the most like caricaturist race. You even
it's
addressed
Joe
it.
Dirt. Yeah,
it is
the
Joe Dirt.
Joe Dirt. Yeah,
and just looking ridiculous.
And that's also Hollywood's. It's why like John Grisham like has some pedigree. But like when you filter Southern stories and Southern stories about race through Hollywood, it's very frequently frustrating. The outcome.
Yeah, I'm just like, how do you get white people and black people so wrong in the same movie?
Yes, and then do that from LA feeling superior. It is like frustrating. Yeah. You don't understand.
It is something that we talk about a lot too. Whenever we talk about some of the books that we've read in the past, where we're like, it's poverty porn. It's like something that the people in California, like you said, don't really get, but it makes them feel good when they see it.
It makes you weepy about a faraway tragedy. It makes you feel sweaty, and then you're like, oh, this is great, But it also. It's not as bad as the actual racism that exists in all 50 states, but it does contribute to a poor understanding and a prejudice against the South and Southerners.
Yeah. All right. What are some WTFs that you got?
I literally had 12, and we talked about all of them already, except for we didn't mention like it's supposed to be funny that Sandra Bullock introduces herself as like, my name's Rourke, but around here I guess you pronounce that Roark, and so that they call her Roark the rest of the movie.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. I already talked about Donald Sutherland's drunk acting, color blindness. There's no way that he would ever win this trial.
No.
Like maybe,
and he shouldn't have.
No,
it's not okay to murder people, no matter what they did to you. That's the thing. I can be sympathetic to why you did it. I can be like, you're not a bad guy. You lost your mind, and like you took a father's rage and about somebody who hurt your loved one. And I'm not saying that like I couldn't have that in me. We all could have that in us, but then that we know from scientific and historical research that doesn't lead to a better place. That leads to more violence, and so that's why we have a court system, and that's why vigilantism is illegal.
Right. And I'm just like, he got off because of temporary insanity, I guess. He's still going to have to go through a psychological evaluation. He's going to have to go, like, if we're getting him for insanity, there's got to be some repercussions for that. Like,
it's usually a lot less. It'll be like 6 months of like psychological treatment or evaluation or mandatory. And then as long as like your doctors think you need to be treated in any way you need to be treated, whether it could be like in an asylum, like, without freedoms or outpatient. But I don't know. It's all stupid. Like,
I did think some of this was like just the worst lawyering I've ever seen in a movie.
Yeah. Also, the death penalty for that is crazy, because usually I think what would probably happen, I'm certainly not an expert, is that like you would use the emotional state. Like, this isn't cold-blooded murder, which is at some point it was like he murdered them in cold blood. I was like, I think his blood was pretty hot. Like,
I
think he had a very good reason not to be cold-blooded about this. So premeditated, I guess, but I think you basically like would plea down it to manslaughter because of the and then you would probably go to prison, but not a death penalty. I mean, in the 80s, we were killing more people. The government was. Than we are now,
which we get our villain Kevin Spacey's like, plead guilty now, I'll give you manslaughter and 20 years in prison. Thank you.
That is exactly what would happen in real life. And any lawyer that said let's take this to trial is insane, and you should fire them and just plead guilty for that plea deal yourself. I mean,
the fact that he doesn't take that, I mean, obviously we wouldn't have the movie, and we wouldn't have, Now Imagine They're White. if we don't get to that point. So we talked about the KKK, talked about the NAACP being villains, the cheating storyline we kind of briefly mentioned. Like it's unnecessary and weird, and
yeah, I mean, this movie's bloated. I will say that it's edited really well. That's what makes it so watchable. Is that like something interesting is happening in every scene, and the scenes go fast. So that 2.5 hours doesn't feel that long. And we watched it, actually. We started it late at night, and I was like, we wanted to watch it together, but she had to go to work the next morning. I was like, let's just watch like an hour and turn it off. And I checked in with her a few times, my partner, to see if like she needed to go to bed. And she didn't want to go to bed. She wanted to finish the movie. She was like, I'll be fine. I was like, all right, let's do it. Because it does pull you into the next scene so well.
Yeah. We did talk about his wife coming back, that scene being just completely out of place and weird and unnecessary. So yeah, I think I've got everything on my list.
Yep, me too.
Best music moment or score. The score was done by Elliot Goldenthal. I couldn't pick out a specific music moment.
There weren't any actual music cues of songs, except maybe like the gospel track at the end.
Yeah. Which is fine.
Yeah. And then like the score isn't amazing, but it just does these like it just uses violins and tinkling piano a lot, and it works. It tells you what mood to feel. It transitions you from one scene to another pretty well. So it's all just very effective, but not special.
I'm skipping our optional section here. I don't have anything. I feel like that would probably be inappropriate. So who do you think gave the best performance in this movie?
I think it could have been Samuel L. Jackson, but it has to be Matthew McConaughey. They're both doing peak acting, but there's Matthew McConaughey's got a lot more to do.
Yes, I am disappointed in the amount that we get of Samuel L. Jackson. I want more from him, and because I love Samuel, he's probably one of my favorite actors. Because I've seen him do such great things. But I agree. I think Matthew McConaughey is great, and the fact that he doesn't get more roles like this right after this is weird, because like
it's weird.
It goes into the late 90s, early 2000s where he's just doing those like rom-coms. And now don't get me wrong, Matthew McConaughey is hot. Like, yeah, he's a hot man, but like he's doing good acting here. And I wouldn't have been so surprised when he does eventually get, his Academy Award down the line if he got more roles like this.
Right, because I think my partner hadn't seen this, and I think she was immediately like, it was one of the first things she said out loud was like early on, a few scenes into the movie, like, "Wow, he's doing really good acting here," and I was like, "Oh yeah, he's capable of that." But I think that like the most she may have seen is like True Detective, and then the whole era where Matthew McConaughey is a parody of himself. She's seen Rom-Com, maybe Dazed and Confused, and then the McConaissance where he's like doing commercials and parodying himself. And so it's like easy to know. It's easy for people to not know that Matthew McConaughey could do this well.
And it's interesting because the next year he's in Contact, which is a lot of people love Contact, and then Amistad, which is like a big miss from Spielberg, and I think he kind of went for something big in that movie, if I can remember, that just didn't work.
Yeah, I've never seen it. I think it was really well liked at the time, but I think everybody kind of knew that it wasn't a laster,
Yeah. So I think that probably sent him down that trajectory of like some weird EdTV, U571. Now I'm getting into rom-coms and stuff, and he tries to come back every once in a while with some...
Lincoln Lawyer was a thing, but I don't remember a thing about it. Like,
yeah, he does that movie Tiptoes with Gary Oldman. You gotta look up Tiptoes.
Gotta look up Tiptoes.
It's Gary Oldman as a little person.
Okay, great.
They're twins. Him and Matthew McConaughey are twins, and Gary Oldman is a little person.
I can't wait.
The trailer alone is incredible. I suggest everybody.
Gary Oldman is a chameleon. He looks like very different in every single performance. So,
well, so we're talking about Matthew McConaughey. Do we think that there's anybody that could have done this better in '96?
The only person, and I think my '96 ones are like big, huge stars, and are not surprising. Mel Gibson. I don't know what his Southern would be like, his accent, but I think his acting, his earnestness, would be very good in this.
And I saw something about Kevin Costner wanting that role too of Jake, and it feels like he could do it. He did JFK, and he's got that Southern. It's not a great Southern accent, but he does the same thing in JFK.
It probably would be a success. I've just never been convinced on Kevin Costner. I think he's a mid actor that just was treated like a genius actor.
And I can get on board with that too. And one of my favorite ones he's terrible in, which is Prince of Thieves, which Robin Hood.
Oh yeah,
Prince
I
of
love
Thieves.
Prince of Thieves,
Love
but I don't.
Prince-
When I think about how much all the things I love about Prince of Thieves, I don't think about Kevin Costner being in that movie. I forget it's him. Not because he like sunk into the role. It's just like he's not the best part of it, but
No.
he's good enough. Like he's very much a stand-in for better actors.
Yeah. Would Gene Hackman have been a better Donald Sutherland?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's a little too serious. I think Gene Hackman has a hard time being silly on screen. I think because he's also famously like he was a person who was hard to work with. He was very angry and very serious all the time. So like being a little silly and soft, like I feel like would be a weak point for him. But I mean, he was an amazing actor. He could pull it off.
Yeah. I don't think that Joel Schumacher and Gene Hackman would have worked together.
Yeah.
The Firm is done by like Sidney Lumet or whatever. And
Yeah.
so of course, like Gene Hackman's going to be more.
He was very I mean, he was very fart sniffy about like cinema too. Like Gene Hackman was like, we're doing art here and stop acting like it's a game.
Yeah.
Which I respect. I mean, you could put Denzel as Carl Lee. Tommy Lee Jones would do a great Rufus.
Yeah.
He does
Oh,
Southern
yeah.
and he does villain really well. Julia Roberts would be a better Rourke because I've never really cared about Sandra Bullock very much. Though I think I like her in this movie. I don't. There's not a lot for me to be mad at her for in this movie, but I just have a chip on my shoulder that I don't like her as an actor much.
She's playing like she's very cute. Like I'm getting like cute vibes from her, which is Sandra Bullock in the night. Like we fell in love with her in Speed because she was like cute and spunky and like on
I think
board
she does
with
comedy pretty well.
Yeah, she's very good at comedy. And
Yeah.
this was a weird choice. I think I do agree with you. Julia Roberts, I mean, Aaron Brockovich or Pelican Brief, like that's the kind of Rourke that I want. But you need somebody young, and I don't know anybody else like super young then that would have.
Yeah, it's just always hard to search the actors to like think about them. When I found Julia Roberts, I was like, oh, okay, finally, that's a good enough answer.
Yeah.
I think he would be good in that role. And then as Billy Ray, Leo DiCaprio instead of Kiefer.
Okay, I like that.
Maybe a little too young, but I mean, Growing Pains was like 10 years earlier. I guess it's like 2 years till.
He's like 21, 22. So it would have worked. I mean, that was the point in Leo's career where he was playing younger roles than what he was actually.
Yeah, he's a little scrawnier than like Kiefer or whatever. But I think that the way he was a great actor back then and still is. So I think he could have pulled that off in a cool way.
Kiefer Sutherland's just playing his role in The Lost Boys and Stand By Me in this movie, especially Stand By Me.
Yeah.
A lot of that. I didn't have anybody in 96 other than the few that I named. 2026, anybody?
Wyatt Russell.
Okay. Yeah. I think that's good.
Yeah. I mean, he's got to pull his dramatic muscles a little more than I've personally seen, but I think he could do it.
Yeah. I had Austin Butler as Jake.
I had Austin Butler as Billy Ray.
I don't think I cast Billy Ray in mine.
Yeah. Sebastian Stan as Rufus. It's not great, but I think he would. I think he's a pretty versatile actor. He could do a pretty good like lawyer villain.
I actually picked Wes Bentley, who is the weird kid in American Beauty that she like falls in love with. The thing that I think of him most from.
You want to see the most beautiful thing I've ever filmed?
Yes, that guy.
Okay,
Wes Bentley. He's kind of he's in bit roles now. He was in Yellowstone. And that is the role that I think of when I think of Rufus, is like he is basically playing Frank Underwood in his time now. So that's the Wes Bentley that I'm thinking of. Or I think he's in the Hunger Games, first one of those too, as a bad guy. So Anthony Mackie is Carl.
Okay, yeah, I've never seen Anthony Mackie do a non-Marvel thing, so I mean I don't hate him, but
yeah,
I had Coleman Domingo, which I think is pretty good. Ever since I saw Sing Sing, I'm obsessed with him. I want to watch everything.
He's great. I've been wanting to watch The Color Purple, even though I know it's probably not the best thing that I've ever seen in my life, but I want to watch it specifically for Coleman Domingo.
Wait, the old Color Purple?
No, the new one. The
There's
musical
a new one? Is it the musical? Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know they did that.
So I like that. What about Lucian? Did you cast anybody for that?
I don't cast anybody for Lucian.
Put Kiefer or Matthew McConaughey in the Lucian role, I said.
Yeah, I think Matthew McConaughey. I don't know what Kiefer's. I don't know. I've never seen him in anything that I liked. So,
did you cast or Ellen or Harry Rex?
Not Harry Rex. I was very smart for picking out Haley Steinfeld for Ellen, but I forgot about Sinners. So now it feels very obvious, like an obvious
Yeah.
choice. I thought it was a good pull when I first thought of it. Then I thought about Sinners. I was like, well, of course, because she just did a southern thing, you know.
I had her and then I erased it and I was like, I'm gonna try and figure out somebody else. So I went with Amandla Stenberg. It's just this young actress. She
Yeah.
could do it, and it would also take away the weird romance plot point of the thing.
Yeah, because now I think it's we talk about this when we watch these 90s movies. It's hard to age people correctly. What they're playing and how old they actually are based on how they look.
Yeah,
Especially as like times change of like what's attractive. And anyways, because Sandra Bullock looks the same for so much of her career that like she'd be playing a 35-year-old in this movie, or I guess she's playing a 20-year-old.
yeah, she's
This
playing
is a
like
law school, so probably like a 24, 25-year-old.
Mhm.
So I don't know what the age gap between her and Matthew McConaughey should be, but Haley Steinfeld feels younger, and Wyatt Russell, I guess, feels like, I don't know,
our
they
age.
could have a relationship. Yeah.
Yeah. I do know, fun fact, that Sandra Bullock is actually 5 years older than Matthew McConaughey, but she's playing like 5 years younger than him.
Okay, because I kind of read her as older.
Yeah.
But like she doesn't look older. It's just something about her carriage, I guess. You know.
And then I put Josh Gad as Harry Rex.
Oh yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Josh Gad's printing checks on that like fat sidekick money.
I'd love to see him do a Southern accent. I think it'd be fun.
Yeah. Oh, wear some suspenders.
Yeah. Oh
Josh
yeah.
Gad in some suspenders. Yeah.
Fan himself a lot. Like,
Oh, who's the New Zealand guy from What We Do in the Shadows? I always think he looks like Oliver Platt. So if he could do the accent, he could be Harry Rex.
ooh, what is that guy's name? I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, but he's kind of like the chubbier in the face guy.
Yeah. Oh,
we just
Matthew
talked
Barry. Matthew Barry. Yeah.
Okay, I think he's in we just saw him in the season 6 of Community. He's like the
Yes.
grifter teacher. Yeah, and he's doing like a Southern thing there as the grifter. So I'm like, he could be Harry Rex for sure.
That would be good. I'd like that. It might make this movie even more intentionally funny than it needed to be.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
Nope.
All right, now it's time for our fun facts or just behind the scenes stories, production trivia, whatever it is. Anything that you could pick out that you thought was interesting.
My favorite one of like that might explain some of the Sandra Bullock and Ashley Judd of it all is that, well, we could start with the fact that like John Grisham sold this script for $6 million, which was like a record at that time, which was huge. Like he got $6 million for selling the rights to the story, and he negotiated like final approval on casting, which led to some interesting things. But he turned down Woody Harrelson. The studio wanted Woody Harrelson, and he I read at some other place that the reason he turned him down was because John Grisham had a friend who was killed by a natural born killer's copycat.
Yes.
Like somebody was inspired by that movie to do some like random killing and killed him. So now he's holding Woody Harrelson.
Yeah, not Quentin Tarantino or Oliver Stone. I know he has like a big vendetta against Oliver Stone. Like,
Really?
yeah, he hates Oliver Stone.
John Grisham does?
Yeah,
That's crazy.
yeah, because
Probably because of politics, I guess. Because a lot of people hated Oliver Stone. Like before Michael Moore came around, like Oliver Stone was like the reference to like liberal directors, you know, like leftist kooks. But all of that to say is, in reading about some of that, he chose Matthew McConaughey, and he also like said, I really based this character on myself.
So I get to choose Matthew McConaughey. That's just
Yeah,
hot
who's married
guy.
to Ashley Judd and is like, but maybe I'll fuck Sandra Bullock on the side. Also, I'm a good white guy. I'm
one of the
Like,
good
how do you
ones.
base this character on yourself? Shut up.
I did like when this bit of trivia where Kiefer Sutherland claimed that Forrest Whitaker later complimented him on his unflinching performance as white supremacist Freddie Lee Cobb and told him it took guts. And Sutherland at first laughed the remark off and asked Whitaker, "Come on, people will know I'm just acting, right?" And Whitaker said, "Nope."
That's amazing.
What else?
What did I just read? Oh yeah, that Samuel L. Jackson did say that he had a lot more to do that ended up being cut. And he said that what did get cut made his character look more sympathetic, which I feel like Carly Haley's very sympathetic. Like I don't hate him for wanting his innocence or not to be killed or
Right,
go to
right.
jail. So I don't think he's unsympathetic. I don't think the political problems we have with the movie isn't like it's the movie saying like this is an okay thing to do and a heroic thing to do. Not that we don't understand Samuel L. Jackson.
He said,
but he also said that like he thought he might get an Oscar nod, and then like was disappointed by the cuts that were made.
yeah, he said, my first day working on that film, I did a speech in the room with an actor, and the whole fucking set was in tears when I finished. I was like, okay, I'm on the right page. That shit's not in the movie. And I know why it's not, because it wasn't my movie, and they weren't trying to make me a star. That was one of the first times that I saw that shit happen. There are things that I've done in other movies where I said, wait a minute, why did you take that moment out of the movie? Because the moment in that movie, it's bigger than the movie.
Oh, yeah. Damn. I didn't actually see that quote. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I've got his whole quote from this whole section of it written down. That's just part of it. He's just basically being like, I'm better than all of those people in the movie.
Right. Paul Newman turned down the role of Lucian because he thought the message of the movie was distasteful. Paul Newman is like a guy boomers want to think he's Clint Eastwood, but he's kind of
that's the ranch guy, right?
Yeah. Hidden Valley.
I already said we already talked about it being a sweaty movie. Differences from the book I wrote down. Matthew McConaughey's character does tell the sheriff, but the sheriff is the one who downplays the danger. It's set in Clanton in the book as opposed to Canton. Carl Lee does not shoot the two guys in the courthouse. He shoots them in a back stairway. There's a stuttering janitor that's one of the few witnesses. Jake's secretary has an antagonistic relationship with Jake in the novel, and he considers her to be terrible at her job. She also has a son who resembles Lucian, so that's part of the storyline too. Lucian is much more of a radical character. While Jake respects him and seeks advice, they don't have like a father-son relationship. Jake hires Rourke on the spot in this. She's also not present at the death of the two guys. Deputy Hastings is a black character. And let's see, Judge Noose is just a normal judge in the book. He's not in the pocket of Buckley. And let's see. And in fact, sometimes the judge actually hates Buckley in the movie or in the book. Jake is booted off the case at one point for a Memphis lawyer. Carl Lee's brother, Lester, convinces Carl Lee to rehire Jake. Jake and Carl Lee aren't friends in the novel. But he does attend a barbecue at the Haley residence after the trial, but it's with Harry Rex and not with his family. Jake's only paid $900 for his services in the book. He's never paid from the funds of the local churches and NAACP allegedly raised for Carl Lee's defense. So those are the big changes.
Yeah, I think all those changes are mostly fine for me.
Yeah.
I did see, I don't know if you mentioned this one, you might have, but in the book, apparently Carl Lee comes and says, I think I might kill those dudes. And Jake does go and tell the sheriff.
Yeah, that's the first one I said.
Okay, yep. Sorry, I missed it. And that I like that change too. Like they don't do a lot with it in the movie, but it's more interesting that he has this. It's interesting if the idea that he has this like philosophical crisis of like, why didn't I tell the sheriff? Is it because I wanted them dead? Because I think that's fair and that's how it should happen. Am I responsible for Carl Lee? Am I responsible for those deaths? Can I hold that on, or do I regret it? Like those are all interesting questions for a character to have. They don't really go into it in the movie, but I think it's a good change for his like behind the scenes motivation.
Yeah, there were some good changes, but also some scenes that we already talked about not needing.
I think the problem with adapting a book is that a book needs to have a different pacing. So you can't just have like important thing happen after important thing after important thing.
Right.
Most books can't have that. You need to give the sense of reality through other things happening. So these little side characters, or whether or not she fucked Lucian a long time ago, is really like maybe likable and fun in a book because it pads out a longer story. But then if you put them all into a movie, it's like, why is this in here? A movie has to have everything do some work toward the end goal. You know?
So just weird stuff. Any other facts?
No, I don't think so.
All right, like a fine wine and dish. If you could pair this movie with another movie for a double feature, what would you choose?
I mean, there's 4, and they're all very obvious: Ghosts of Mississippi, Mississippi Burning, To Kill a Mockingbird, and The Lincoln Lawyer.
Yeah. I added a couple other. Just Mercy, which came out in the last 10 years. Michael B. Jordan is a lawyer and trying to get somebody off of death row. So I think that in the against the death penalty kind of world, I think Just Mercy is a really good movie that kind of got slept on. To Kill a Mockingbird, you already said. 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri.
Sure.
The Green Mile ish,
Yeah.
and Marshall, about Thurgood Marshall.
Okay, is that good?
Yeah, it's Chadwick Boseman as Thurgood Marshall.
Oh, nice.
So yeah,
Watch that.
did you recognize that one of the Hicks was Percy from The Green Mile?
No, I know Percy very well, but
Yeah.
I didn't know he was in there.
He's also Toombs from X-Files.
Yeah, he's in a million things.
Yeah, he's
I love
always
that
creepy and a bad person.
actor. Yeah.
And he's a bad person in real life too.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. That sucks. Because I kind of always liked him in movies. All right, I have a question though. Could you somehow race swap this movie? Like and it would be so complex and tricky to do, but a poor white father or mother in a black neighborhood with a lot of crime. Not that all black neighborhoods have a lot of crime, right?
Mhm.
And there's a revenge killing there, and race is brought into it, and then they're now trying to, like, a black lawyer has to be like, yeah, and all the stuff comes out about the father of being a
Ooh.
bigot. Like, this father is constantly complaining about all the black crime around him, and he is a bigot, and he's like, but I'm not violent towards anybody. Look, I'm kind to this neighbor. I do this or whatever.
Yeah.
It'd be really tricky to do, but it could be really interesting, like how a black lawyer sticks up for a white kind of bigoted guy, but he's a minority in that environment, and
It's
a
like-
revenge killing.
It's like Philadelphia meets A Time to Kill.
Yeah, a little bit. I don't know, like, this is the right time for it or anything, but I think it's very interesting. And
Yeah,
you can explore a lot of like race dynamics in a more modern way, not in like the sweaty 1980 feels like 1930 Mississippi, but more like in a 2026 feels like 2000 Detroit. Well, it'd be like a Clint Eastwood movie, I guess, but I would try to make it less conservative.
No, I think you've got a good movie there. That's a really good movie. And then you get Michael B. Jordan as the lawyer.
Right. That's what made me think about it. Because then Michael B. Jordan is now like trying to do the right thing, but maybe hates the guy he's defending. Because he's like, see, you get it. He's like, I
agree with that.
We might. Hilarious.
Yeah, I don't know if Christian could handle
I
that.
don't think that's in his toolbox. No, because then you could have like Michael B. Jordan, like, wanting to defend this guy for like these reasons, and the guy's like, "You get it? Like, I'm not that bad a guy." He's like, "No, fuck you, Whitey. like, I hate you too.
Yeah.
Like, all the crime that you complain about all day, you don't understand like how like why this crime exists or whatever. But also, you deserve like your defense as well. It'd be cool."
No, I think there's a really interesting movie there that would be way more interesting than this movie. But
Right.
yeah. So speaking of this, how likely are you to throw this one on again?
I put 4 out of 5.
Yeah, I think this movie's super rewatchable. Like I said at the beginning, I think these Grisham movies are very good. Like Saturday afternoon, throw it on. You're cleaning the house, and maybe it's raining outside. Yeah, this is a great
Hangover movie, like Sunday nap kind of movie.
Yes. Yeah, it's got great scenes that you can sit and laugh, or you can cry through, and it's good. Yeah. So now that we've said all that, what do you give it out of 5 stars overall?
I put 2.5. I think I could go as far as 3, but adding up all of the annoying and mistaking and like ickiness of it or whatever is like at least a 0.5 point dropped, because I think it's a well-made movie. Its problems are in excess of, but it's the things that it's doing well, it's doing really well.
Yeah.
So like to give it less below average feels unfair, but to give like 3 out of 5 also feels unfair. So
yeah, I gave it a 3, but yeah, you could easily convince me 2.5 again, because of all the pitfalls that this movie has. It's not great at all, but I mean, God, the cast alone, you have 6 Oscar winners in this cast, and just good character actor. It's so good with their performances. So I do agree with you, but
Chad,
right.
I'd write that screenplay for a tank of gas.
Please do.
Which is about $6 million.
Yeah. Well, Ryan, thank you so much for hanging out and talking movies with us. But before we wrap up, you get any movie recommendations that you want to share with people?
So I've got 2 movie projects I'm working on now. It's okay if If I haven't turned you guys away, if I haven't icked you out yet, this is where it's going to come in. First of all, I'm part of an online film club where we're watching 8 Ingmar Bergman films, one a week, and talking about it. And so then I had to be obsessive and watch every Ingmar Bergman film. So I'm at like 38 out of 46 Ingmar Bergman films is all I've been watching in the last few weeks.
Wow.
Being very completionist about it, and that's been great. It's a little, you don't really want to do that with him. It's a lot of depressed Swedish in a row, just
beautiful shots.
Yeah, huh? Beautifully shot. Just a lot of like, why won't God talk to me? Should I kill myself? 3-hour black and white movies, and then I'm trying to tank like 2 to 3 of them a day. So that's tough, but I'm there. I'm getting it done. And then the other one is an even more insane but less heady thing. Is I've been working on. I'm picking the year of 2025, and I want to watch almost all of the movies in 2025.
That's so much.
No, it's not all. It's like between 300 and 400 on my list.
Okay, so are you doing like just US wide releases?
Mostly US. I would go through like Wikipedia's release dates, and anything that like was halfway interesting, I wrote down at first. But then I expanded that. I went to Metacritic, and anything that got a 60 or higher is on my list.
Okay.
And a lot of things that got less than 60 are on my list. Because like the Minecraft movie was on my list.
Hell yeah.
Like anything famous or a famous director, or I heard people talk about, if it's less than 60, it goes on. If it's 60 or higher, it's on the list. And I've paused that to do the Ingmar Bergman thing. So I thought I could get this done by the end of summer. I probably can. I'm not sure I can get it done by 2027. But I want to do my project. I'm not writing reviews about them. Maybe I'll throw them in a letterbox eventually or something. Just give them stars out of 5. I've looked back at the ones I've watched, and I've already forgotten what some of them are. But I am highlighting the ones that I think were like good watches. I'll release a list one day that are like, hey, if I didn't do this project, I never would have heard of this movie, and it was worth a watch.
Did you create a list on Letterboxd, or you have a list in like?
No, it's just on my Notepad app.
Yeah.
I mean, on my long to-do list is always to just get on Letterboxd and add every movie I've ever seen or made a list of, because I make a list of movies I watch.
Yeah, that is like the big thing. I've made spreadsheets, and then I will transfer, because I did like 80s and 90s movies that I thought were fun, and so I made a spreadsheet first, and then I put it over into Letterboxd, just retyping out every single movie that I did. So.
Right. So those are the two. I mean, I could find some that I know were pretty good, but I kind of put that on pause to watch all the Ingmar Bergman films. But when I'm done with that, I'm back to this like 300 to 400 movie list. Again, I'm not always paying attention to all of them. They're early in the morning. Sometimes I'm reading a comic book while I'm watching it. Who knows? But I'm at least putting it on for its duration and giving it its best try for all those movies.
Well, I have a 2025 movie that I just watched.
What's that?
Called No Other Choice, which is Park Chan-wook's movie. I think it's on Hulu now or something. Mm-hmm. Highly recommend. It's so
it's
good.
on my list for sure.
It's very funny in a dark comedy kind of way. And I just love Park Chan-wook. He does things that I feel like no other director is doing with a camera now. Yeah. And he's really great. And then I watched 10 Things I Hate About You. So
of course. Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah, cut to 3. You got to cut to 3 weeks ago where I watched like Wild Strawberries, The Virgin Spring, and then Beavis and Butthead Do America. That was like a Friday for me.
So and then after that, The Seventh Seal. The
Seventh Seal in there.
Oh my gosh, what is it? Did he do My Summer with Monica?
Yeah.
Oh,
that's his earliest one that I would call a must-watch.
I love My Summer with Monica.
Summer with Monica is great. Virgin Spring's great. Wild Strawberries is a little disappointing. I'm pretty much at the end of his career, and it's all kind of like overlong trash about the same topics. But 4 of his biggest things I haven't watched yet because I'm waiting for the film club. So Fanny and Alexander, Autumn Sonata, Personas next week, and Shame. Those are 4 of his biggest ones that I haven't actually seen because I'm waiting to do it for the film club.
Is this a Memphis film club?
No, I think I've talked about it before. It's really cool. They just signed up for their summer programs, but like Book Market, the Catherine Project is mostly reading adult book clubs that are a little more academic subjects. And they don't usually have a lot of film, but they'll have 1 or 2 film things every season. Okay. But basically you write a little short application and say, these are the 4 I have time for. I can commit to these times. And that so like usually it's book clubs about stuff that's a little more heady, like, you know, it's famous stuff. It'll be like Gulliver's Travels and Don Quixote, but it's also like a lot of Greek classics, Plato, philosophers, you know, Proust, kind of shit you might read in college. But if you still like that kind of reading, you don't get a chance to. And then I just Zoom with like, there's like one leader and it's like 14 strangers. I just Zoom with them every Thursday night.
That's pretty cool.
And talk about the movie. And it's worked out really well. It's been really great.
Well, if you are interested in doing that and want to keep that conversation going, feel free to drop that in the Discord. Follow us on Instagram or check out the Letterboxd to see what we've been watching lately. Next week, you and I are gonna meet up again. Not to spoil it, but for our theme, we're gonna keep that going. I'll see you in court, where every movie that we're talking about is a different courtroom story. We are watching The People versus Larry Flint. And we'll be live next Sunday at 5 p.m. unless something changes, but we'll let you know before that. But thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on 52/1996. Big Be Nice to Women.
Oh, big Be Nice to Women.
Big Be Nice to Women.
A big old honking Be Nice to Women to all of you.
Don't put your F, Mary kills in the chat now.
Get out of here.
Get out of here. Be nice to women.
You've never been F, married, or killed.
We spun the reel through desert storms and courtroom cries. Love letters burned, planes went down, truth hid behind the lies. From snowbound crimes in Fargo streets to agents running wires, we laughed with Gilmore, screamed in masks lit, theaters on fire. It's 52/1996, let the credits roll tonight. Good movies, bad movies, all of them in the same rewind. 1 year, 1 week, every frame gets its time to shine. We'll see you next story on 52/1996.